Aging wrestler Randy the Ram Robinson is long past his prime, but still ready and raring to go on the pro wrestling circuit. After a particularly brutal beating, Randy hangs up his tights and pursues a serious relationship with the Long in the Tooth stripper. He also tries to reconnect with his estranged daughter, but he can't resist the lure of the ring and readies himself for a comeback. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode we'll be covering 2008's The Wrestler, directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Colin, you ready to talk about some wrestling? That's RASSLIN'.
No, that's I'm ready to talk about this movie that uses wrestling like Rocky uses like boxing. You know,
beautiful.
That's what I'm down for.
Literally, yes, absolutely. And like that's how you know it's a good movie. By the way, cards on the table. Fucking love this movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Like, you know, this was the first for us, like, right? Like, this is, I think, the first time for both of us watching this movie.
No, I have seen this once, a long time ago, though.
There you go. Fair enough. Well, this is my first time watching the movie, and man, like, I was like, you know, I wasn't hesitant to kind of come into it. I don't know. I just didn't watch it. It never got around to it. But yeah, I fucking love this movie. But that's how you know it's a good movie, because it uses like its subject matter as a crutch to tell a bigger story. And yeah, man, like we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here at Midnight Double Feature. We are here covering The Wrestler, directed by Darren Aronofsky. And man, I cannot wait to talk about this movie. All right, cards on the table again. I did not choose this movie because one of our listeners were really, really campaigning for us to cover this. I did not. That's not what I don't want to set a precedent. That's not why I chose it. This has always kind of been just one of those movies that I've always wanted to watch. And honestly, the podcast is so good in that way, in that it really pushes me to kind of like step out of my comfort zone and watch movies that I wouldn't ordinarily watch. And this is 100% one of those movies. I think Darren Aronofsky is a fantastic director.
Yep.
I like, dude, you need to watch Mother. If you haven't seen Mother, like, it is incredibly underrated. I think I've brought it up a couple times before. It is a metaphor of a movie. Like, you know, like it's just, I don't want to like spoil it or anything like that.
Oh, that's a Javier Bardem, what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence movie,
Jennifer
right?
Lawrence.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, Requiem for a Dream, I mean, you know, fucking horrifying movie. Yeah, he's a talented director. And Noah was a bit of a misfire, but what can you do? And he's got the Captain Morgan again. Well done, Colin. Bravo.
I'm going to need it for this one.
Forever reminding me that it's fucking midday here. Guys, we're ready to get into this, but please support the show and keep the lights on here at Midnight Double Feature. Head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature if you are not already a member of the Green Room, where you can get access to bonus content. Colin and we just recorded Reservoir Dogs. We have that coming up very soon. We've got movies like The Mummy, Nightmare on Elm Street,
No.
Freddy vs. Jason, House of Wax, and, you know, like, these are really tough movies to sell your bonus feed on, but hey, Reservoir Dogs is coming, so don't worry. So head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. That's patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature, and head to our Facebook, head to the after party, become a part of the conversation. Surely, I'm 100% sure that when this episode drops, there will be somewhat of a conversation between our after party members. So head over there to be a part of the conversation. All right, man, let's get into this. Talk to me about what your initial impressions were of this movie when you first watched it, and I guess just kind of run me through, if you have any experience with wrestling or pro wrestling or watching pro wrestling.
Yeah, hold on, I need alcohol for this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I'm down that shit.
Yep. So yeah, no, I as far as like actual wrestling goes, yeah, I mean, my brother really liked it a lot growing up. I fucking hated it. Even as a kid, I fucking hated it. I just didn't like it. And I was like, I liked boxing. Like, I liked shit like that. Like, that was cool. but I just didn't like wrestling, and it was half the time of him taking me to the trampoline and fucking choke slamming me and shit, and I was never able to do any moves on him because I didn't care and didn't like to do it, but it was so easy for him to do moves on me, and I was like, I fucking hate this goddamn shit, dude. and you know, but the thing is, I knew a lot of wrestlers growing up, you know, Bret the Hitman Hart, Owen Wilson, the Big Show, and Rey Mysterio, and Hulk Hogan.
Did you say Owen Wilson?
No, Owen Hart. Sorry, I said Bret the Hitman Hart, and then his brother is Owen Hart, and I immediately said Owen Wilson.
Like, are you fucking serious?
That would be hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
Michael.
You know, guys, I'm not okay with this. Like, like one of the Owen brothers wrestling.
Wow.
But no, it was Bret the Hitman Hart and his brother Owen Hart, and his brother Owen Hart fucking died doing that shit. He fell from really high up. I don't know I'm sure Patrick Harrington can talk circles around me, but he fell from really high up and fell a certain way and died. I don't know exactly what happened, but I grew up, you know, watching stuff like when Hulk Hogan became like Mr. America, and there was like Vince McMahon and The Undertaker when Brock Lesnar was really big. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. But a lot of these guys, it's kind of nuts. Like Owen Hart fell to his death. Eddie Guerrero died. Chris Benoit like killed his whole family and died. Like it was real. Like there's been some crazy shit that's happened. Which is why there's a great show called Dark Side of the Ring. But there's also really cool. Look at someone like John Cena and how much Make-A-Wish shit that he's done. You know, there's also a really positive side to all that as well. And it also...
Well, Dwayne Johnson, right?
Right, Batista. I mean, it gives you a lot of people that are now breaking out. Because, I mean, that's the thing with wrestling is that it's, you know, you have to be in insane physical good shape, but also you have to be somewhat of a good actor. You know, you don't have to be amazing, but, you know, I'm sure that the Dave Batista that was wrestling was not the same Dave Batista in Blade Runner 2049. You know, it's a different guy, you know, and it's the same different guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, I definitely grew up with it in the house, and I fucking hated it. I didn't like it. I was always more of like a boxing fan and stuff, but I understand like why kids like it. And you know, I guess I just don't understand why grown men would still appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's a lot of stuff where like, you know, I get it. I think the debate is wrestling fake. Cause it's like, dude, if someone is arguing that with you, you just got to walk away. Like it's not real. It's entertainment. It is scripted entertainment, but it's still, people still die. People can still get look at fucking Mick Foley, who played Mankind. That guy has been through that guy might as well have been Jim Caviezel's stunt double in Passion of the Christ. He has been through the fucking ringer doing his wrestling and shit. So I definitely grew up with it. I definitely have like a history a little bit. You know, who doesn't know Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, and Ultimate Warrior and stuff like that. But, you know, when it came to watching this movie is so fucking not about wrestling. You know, there's just, it's not... It's, you know, this could be a guy who's a professional ice skater. This could be a guy who's a professional, you know, juggler, or, you know, someone who's a great ventriloquist, you know, and it could be about anything. But there's also something about wrestling where it's like it has to be wrestling because of the physical, you know, the physical complications of it. And it's not something where like a lot of wrestlers don't, you know, a lot of wrestlers don't hit pro and don't get to retire like John Cena and Dave Batista and stuff. So you kind of get to see the other side of that, of like these people who are still trying to make it and still trying to break through. I heard that, I think Carlos in the after party said this and Black Swan were going to be a thing together, like an item.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Black Swan.
Oh, Black Swan is outstanding. It might be my favorite movie of his.
I've seen 2 hours of it, but the only 12 minutes of it for 2 hours of time.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. But no, so apparently in Darren Aronofsky's kind of like mind, he had the Natalie Portman's character, who was a dancer in Black Swan, and Mickey Rourke's character, who obviously is a wrestler in this, kind of like be a couple. But Darren Aronofsky was like, well, look, I don't think that I'm going to be able to do the world of ballet dancing justice and the world of wrestling justice in one movie. So he just kind of split them up. Yeah. And I think it works. Honestly, It's kind of like, it's such a good double feature, like in terms of He made this in 2008, and he made Black Swan, I think it was 2010, like right after it. And it's just like, holy shit, dude. Like, what a great 1-2 punch for a director.
It makes me so sad that he was this close to doing like Batman Year One, like Darren Aronofsky's Batman. Like, come on, dude.
He was supposed to do the Wolverine. He came very close.
Oh, because that was James Mangold's first swing at that, right?
Right.
Okay,
right, yeah, the one the one where he goes to Japan. That was that was
that's one of the only ones I haven't seen, and I've heard it's better than I give it credit for. But I should check it out. At least it got him to do Logan, so cool, fucking awesome. Like you, I will watch X-Men Origins for 24 hours straight if I get to watch Logan once. It's cool. I'll take it, dude.
Oh, absolutely, dude, absolutely.
But I really love this. He's a which one of us has not felt in some way, shape, form, or fashion, about something like this in our lives? Who of us haven't, man, you're doing a podcast again? Like, yeah, I know, dude. I'm sorry, blah, blah. It's like, oh, man, you're going to go work out again. Like, oh, you're doing video games. Like, which one of us has not had something where, we're this into it? But he is such a great character, dude. He's so nice. And that's the thing, is like, you would want to like kind of hang out with this guy, but then you realize you're like, man, you are so cool to hang around with and like drink a beer, but I might not give you the beer run money. I don't know. You kind of sketch out a little bit. Like, it's that guy you think's real cool when you're like 12, and then you wake up and you're like, oh man, he used to fucking like beat his wife and he left his kids and shit, and it's like, man, that guy fucking sucks. There's people like that in your lives who you think are so cool when you're a kid, and then when you grow up, you're like, you're kind of a piece of shit, But obviously a lot of personal stuff at home, but still a really nice guy. He signs all of his fans. He's super down to earth. He's not this big-headed, I was a fucking star, and it's like, no, man, I fucking sleep in a van if I can't get into my trailer. He's humble. I love that about this character, and he's so nice. Hey, man, hang in there. You got a lot of a talent. You got a lot of ability, and it's like, God, you're just so fucking nice, man, and it makes it all the more tragic.
Man. He's so supportive.
Yes, and it makes you the things that he's doing to himself, but he would never do that to another human being. He would never put another human being through that intentionally, except for his own daughter, apparently. But yeah, there's just something so tragic about if this were a guy who's just a fucking piece of shit, we really wouldn't care about that as much. Because he is so nice, we want to see him succeed. We wanted to see him take that curve. And unfortunately, this movie is just an epic, sad bastard tragedy, and I love it. I think it's so great. It's low, but $6 million budget. I think he got nominated for the Oscar, and so did Miss Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, and they're in, like, Evan Rachel Wood and Marissa Tomei are like, I feel like they're like fleeting glimpses in this. Like, he is just so up in front of all of this. He's
looming, but right? Yeah.
Yes. But the little bit that they're there, they own it, and they do really, 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 really excellent job. And I think we all have like met or know people like this that had that one moment that, like, I feel like he is the wrestling, like, he's not as bad, but I feel like he's almost the wrestling equivalent of like Dickie Eklund from The Fighter. Like, I knocked out Sugar Ray, and you're like, no, not really. But this guy is a lot nicer than that guy. Like, it's similar, but not exact. So I just think there's something really compelling and so sweet about him that I just love, but there's also something so tragic and so sad about the whole situation. And what a metaphor for Mickey Rourke's career. What a metaphor for this guy who was just everywhere in the 80s and 90s, and then had a fucking total comeback, Iron Man and The Wrestler, and, not a total, I haven't seen him just like blow up like RDJ or something, but yeah, he's come back into the fold of shit where like he is a household name. He didn't really just like, he was actually a boxer. Mickey Rourke was a legit boxer at one point.
Yeah, that's why his face looks like hamburger meat, dude.
Dude, yeah, well, he fucked his shit up doing plastic surgery and stuff. And it was like, why, man? He's such a handsome, like, angel heart. What a handsome son of a bitch, dude. But then you also watch it and you're like, dude, this guy's Marv. This is the same guy that played Marv? I don't think so. And you're like, there's no way. So I really, really love him in this movie. I think he does such a fantastic job. Kudos. I mean, if he's got a stuntman, I can't tell the fucking difference. That is definitely him in there 90% of the time. I would argue. I'd put money on that. I think this is a fantastic movie. I'm glad you picked it. I'm glad, we've covered 50% of what Patrick Harrington will call his demands. And I'm really excited to be covering this and whenever we inevitably do Red Dawn,
Well, it's like a terrorist hostage situation, right? Like it's like Jesus Christ, Patrick, let us go, please. But no, man, yeah, I was this has been on my list for a while now. Well before we did 200 with Back to the Future, I was like, all right, man, I want to get the wrestler on there because I have been waiting to watch this for a very long time, and Patrick's kind of posting was just like, all right, time to fucking pull my finger out and just watch it. And man, this movie, I'm a grown man, and it nearly broke me.
Yeah,
It is heartbreaking, and you can feel just like a sense of dread throughout the movie because it's not going to end well. Like you just kind of like have a feeling, and it's just the amount of shit that's piling up against this guy, and just what he has to do, like how hard he's trying to fix it. After he gets the diagnosis, it's just like, oh shit, all right, like look, I gotta work the deli, I gotta work longer hours. Hey, I like working the deli, so I'm gonna quit wrestling. But it just doesn't work out that way, man. Like
right.
It's really heartbreaking. It's a movie about doing something for so long and not knowing how to do anything else, and that is true. That is true about Mickey Rourke's character and Marissa Tomei's. Marissa Tomei's character is walking around in the strip club and trying to get clients, and she's getting old. It's her body that's kind of failing her. Like, it's literally just inevitable, Same with Mickey Rourke's character. It's his body. His body's just not able to keep up with his, pursuit. And it's kind of heartbreaking in that way that we're not able to do what we love and what we're good at forever. And that whole element of it is just so, man, like that really breaks my heart. Like, just that everything that we do is inevitably going to end. And these are the stories that I just absolutely love in film, dude. Like, whether it's Brooks in Shawshank, right? Old man Brooks, who just is in prison for so long that he becomes institutionalized. And when he goes out into the real world, he's just not, he's like a puzzle piece that just can't fit into the rest of the board,
The world went and got itself in a big damn hurry. That's one of the saddest lines of that whole movie, dude. I can't watch Brooks's part. It's so sad. Yeah,
that whole like 10-15 minute aside that movie does, and it just kind of goes down a rabbit hole and just shows us Brooks outside. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. And this really reminded me of that, like that. This is kind of Brooks's kind of like scene except expanded, or Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, right? Like from No Country for Old Men, who was just like, I don't, like I'm too old for this. Like I don't understand the world anymore. I love these kinds of characters in movies, dude. Like who just kind of like look at the world and look at themselves and are like, I recognize in myself that I am outdated. Like
right.
Like things are changing, especially when Randy sits down and plays the video game with this kid, right? And the kid's all he's talking about is Call of Duty 4. Like, it's just like, it's just the progression.
It's very Gary King from The World's End. Like, still has the Sisters of Mercy shirt and the tape and like the two dragons. And you're like, yeesh, dude. Like, come on. I honestly have to be careful. I will become this person if I'm not careful. Like, and this podcast has helped. This podcast has helped me break being that person. Like, hey, have you guys ever seen Monster Squad? And it's like, dude, you've got to let go. Like, you've got to eventually branch out a little bit. You can't just put all your eggs into one basket. Yeah, you're totally right on the money.
No, absolutely. And like, this is just one of those things that I think is prevalent in society right now. Right, we all kind of like fantasize about nostalgia, right? I mean, like nostalgia is a huge, huge thing that we all kind of like look at and kind of like prop up. If we watch Star Wars, we want old characters to come in from in new shit, right? If we're watching Mandalorian, people are always expecting, oh shit, I wonder when they're going to bring in an old character. And it's just like, man, like you kind of got to let that go. Like, you got to move on. You got to move on. My history with wrestling is pretty similar to yours, actually. Except I didn't hate it. I think I was just kind of indifferent. I had a cousin who was very into wrestling when I was younger, and my brother was very into wrestling. So I kind of I took everything in via osmosis. There was a wrestling game that my brother and I loved. It was on the original Xbox. It was called Wrestlemania 21. Man, was it fucking fun, dude. It was so fun. Like, my brother would just we'd always play like a TLC match, so like tables, ladders, and chairs, and just beat the shit out of each other with like chairs. Dude. It was fucking great.
We always played WCW versus NWO on N64. And I love that because you could do tag team matches and run it with baseball bats and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny because, I hated watching wrestling, loved playing the games. It was so much fun.
Oh, no, absolutely, dude. And like Hell in a Cell, dude, you just fucking jump from the top of the fucking cage to the bottom. Like, it's fucking ludicrous, but it's so fun. And I always used to play the bras and panties match in secret. I was like, oh, they're so fucking hot. They're fucking WWE divas, dude.
Fucking Trish Stratus and like Sable. Not you, China. Get away from me, China.
Yeah. Oh my god. We also had some DVDs as well. My brother had like Cyber Sunday and yeah, I know, right? Crazy.
Oh, different DVDs. Okay. It's like, what are you guys watching?
No. But man, I used to jerk it to the divas. Man, were they fucking hot.
Oh, dude, they're scorching hot. No, Trish Stratus was the one when I was like into wrestling for a brief moment.
She was like the queen bee.
Right. Yeah. And dude, and hats off, like if somebody asked me like who is one wrestler that you really, really still respect and you think would just kind of left it all out there and did like Rey Mysterio. I love Rey Mysterio. I think that guy is
619.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people like everybody's this big juggernaut and he's this little fast, I'm like, man, the guy's an acrobat. It's incredible.
See, for me, my favorite wrestler was Kane because I just loved that mask back in the day before he took it off. It's like this really mysterious red and black mask, and then his brother was the Undertaker who came back from the dead. And then you had like other classics like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You had Kurt Angle, and these are just like guys that was just like, man, like they feel larger than life, and I get it. Like I kind of understand why adults like now, our age, maybe a bit older, kind of still love this stuff because it again feeds back into nostalgia, right? We all kind of saw these legends growing up, and it's just like it became kind of infused in like our what we love watching. But yeah, I totally understand why people like wrestling. Like I'm not, it's just not for me in particular, but I dig it. Like I dig the fact that it's fiction, but also that these people are actually really, they need to execute feats of athleticism, right? So they actually need to fly and collide with each other, and all while staying in character, and that is not easy to do. It's just. There is a level of skill that's required here, and for the longest time, I didn't understand that, and I kind of fucking wrestling, it's all fake. But I think the better word to use is fiction, right? I mean, if we watch a movie like Star Wars, we don't call it fake, we call it fiction. Right. Because you kind of made things up, but you're still executing some level of realism that requires some skill. But yeah, man, this was an absolutely outstanding movie. Watching this movie for the first time for the podcast was kind of like a Babadook situation for me. I had never seen the Babadook before doing the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, and on that episode, dude, I ended up giving the Babadook a 10, just a straight 10. And I think I'm on that fucking level with this movie. I cannot find a single flaw in this movie. I think a little bit maybe Evan Rachel Wood is acting a lot. She is acting a lot. When she needs to break down, she breaks down hard. And I love Evan Rachel Wood. I'm a big fan of Westworld. So, it was just, I don't know. It was a little too much for me. But, I mean, man, Mickey Rourke, he didn't win the Oscar for this. And I'm going to look up who won the Oscar in 2008 because it is intense.
Was it Ledger? Or was that 09?
Oh, yeah. Well, no. Ledger won supporting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I wonder, 2008. No, there wouldn't have been No Country for Old Men. That was 05. I'm really trying to think.
Let me have a look. I'll have a look. Just
I feel like this is going to be a snub, and I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, I feel like that too.
Oh, I sang the Jeopardy theme song and it made me sad.
Fucking rest in peace, Alex Trebek. But here we go. All right, so best actor. Oh, Sean Penn for Milk.
Okay, that's a damn good movie. I don't think it's better than The Wrestler, but I actually think we just talked about Milk on the last episode. I swear to God, we just talked about that. Yeah,
because we were talking about Chris Penn.
Yes, and it is a great movie. I do love Milk. Josh Brolin, James Franco, it's fantastic. But it's not as good as The Wrestler. It's definitely not. It's been 10 years probably since I've seen it, and I own it and I love it. But it is still not as good as
still
this movie.
Watch it.
This is very, very good.
This is amazing. And can we talk about Marissa Tomei? I was not expecting to see her titties in this movie.
Not even side boob, not even profile. It's just like bam, like it's like just right there.
Here it is. Like here's all of my bits, man. Like Tomei's titties are just
George Costanza's head is just like spinning.
I was just about to say, I was supposed to date Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei.
I fucking love him, dude. Oh, I love him. But yeah, I just watched those episodes of Seinfeld too, so this couldn't have come at a more perfect time. But man, like this is an outstanding movie. Everyone is on their A game, including Aronofsky. I love there's something about this movie that feels so tactile and real to me. Like just the way he films. Like a lot of it is kind of handheld. It's grainy film. Like it's not really cleaned up digital like film stock. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels very middle America, low budget.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a $6 million movie. You know, the thing that helps is like from what I was reading, and I don't know how I haven't verified any of this, but. You know, when he pulls the razor out and he actually cuts, like that's really like that's Mickey Rourke.
We'll talk about it,
right? Yeah, okay, but it's shit like that really like when you look and you're like, oh, I can spot the stunt double. It kind of takes you out. You know, when you learn the things that Mickey Rourke is doing, you're like, that really helps sell this movie. It really helps like sell a lot of this stuff that's really the fact that this movie it has like what 10-15 minutes of actual wrestling in it, and you're like, dude, this is the most I've ever been invested in wrestling in my life. Yeah, right. This and like fucking Rocky 3 with Hulk Hogan had more wrestling in it than this fucking movie. Right. But yeah, I'm fucking pumped. Let's jump into this shit.
Yeah, we will jump into it. I just wanted to mention something. So, how did I not mention this? I don't like Formula One racing, but I love Rush. Like, like it's kind of like that situation. Like,
oh, the movie.
Rush,
I thought you were talking about the game.
Yeah.
And I was like the old N64 Rush game? Like, hell yeah, that's a deep pull, my man. Nice.
But also, a couple of little facts. Nicolas Cage was very close to securing the role as Randy the Ram.
Man, that is... Ugh.
He actually went to actual wrestling matches for research, but then eventually dropped out. And Darren Aronofsky always wanted Mickey Rourke, apparently, for the role. Mm-hmm. Hulk Hogan actually said, I was up for the role for Mickey Rourke, for Randy the Ram. And Aronofsky's just come out and was like, fuck you, dude. That's not right. Fuck you, man.
I think Hulk Hogan also said he was offered like Highlander. And I'm like, okay, no. Like you're like you couldn't hold down an MTV fucking reality show and stopping your sex tape from getting out. Don't act like you're gonna be fucking Duncan MacLeod. And I was like, don't.
There can be only one brother.
There can be only one brother. And when I get in there with the Kurgan, I'm gonna make him in a world of pain. It's like
I'm gonna break you.
But yeah, no, that's like laughable, and I get it getting a former wrestler, but getting a former wrestler, I think, just hits a little bit too. Then people are going, "Is this an autobiography? Is this and it's like, no, this is. Right. You get somebody who Mickey Rourke has a face like a wrestler. He was a boxer. His career kind of took a nosedive, but he's the perfect choice for this. I mean, literally, I think I cannot really picture anybody else in I'm sure you could sub somebody out and it would be good, but I really don't think you could sub out any of the three like leads.
I do not want to see The Rock in this movie. Like, I feel like there's something about Mickey Rourke in this movie that just he really wears the whole I am weathered and beaten and broken, but I will still keep doing this.
Right.
He plays it so well. Apparently, Mickey Rourke also. When he took the script, he hated the dialogue and he rewrote all of his dialogue.
Good for him, dude. That's cool.
That is awesome.
What do you think of him as Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2?
I knew this was going to come up eventually, because that's a part of his, reconnaissance. But I dug it, man. I thought it was good. The Russian accent aside, I think he's a good kind of like foil. I think that movie gets a lot of shit because it kind of sets up a lot for Avengers, but
Yeah.
yeah, I dig him, especially when he's out on the racetrack in Monaco, dude. Like he's like it's fucking badass.
It's hard when you're the Danny DeVito's Penguin to your Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is Justin Hammer.
Right.
And it's like, man, that guy steals the show in that movie a lot. But
Oh,
there are
Sam
moments
Rockwell is incredible.
there are moments where he is so terrifying in Iron Man 2 when he like gets him on the phone. He's like, hey, you sound pretty good for a dead guy. And he's like, you too. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, like that's fucking terrifying, man.
I remember watching at the movies. I was 16 years old, and I was like, "That is fucking dude. If you can make God bleed,
yes,
like holy
that's
shit,
what
dude.
If you
What
show
the fuck?
people the possibilities that this person has kinks in their armor, and I'm like, cool, I fucking dig that, man. I
There
like
is blood in the water, and the sharks
Right.
will come.
I hate the whole like, well, your dad was the other side of that coin, and I was like, fuck all this shit. I hate it. I absolutely hate all of that. I just, man,
It's
they could
definitely
have
problematic.
They could have streamlined a lot of his shit for Iron Man 2. But anyways,
All right, so let's get into this movie, which we are covering, which is Iron Man 2. So we start off at the Stark Expo. Can you imagine, dude? Patrick's been waiting so long for the fucking wrestler, and we give him Iron Man 2. All right, let's get into this. So, dude, I love how it starts with the Golden Lion Venice award winner logo. Like, that's not pretentious at all. Like, you know,
right? Yeah,
but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, like, the Venice Film Festival is obviously this huge kind of like film festival and it's super prestigious. I think the Joker won the Golden Lion for basically its best picture at the Venice Film Festival. So,
okay,
pretty cool that this won best picture at Venice, which is, you know, a movie about wrestling, and you wouldn't expect the critics to take to something like this, you know. But it is an Aronofsky film, and I think that name has a lot of weight in those circles. So we get this extended title sequence showcasing the history of Randy the Ram Robinson. It's all sensationalized, right? You can hear the cheering in the background, and he's had a great run. And this is it's funny to me because I feel like this is how he would remember it. You know, like all this cheering, all this, like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, it all keeps him, this is what keeps him going. You know, this is what fuels him.
No, yeah, 100%. I definitely dig that. It's the, you know, what is Silk Spectre saying, Watchmen, where she's like, you know, as I get older, the past, even the grimy parts look brighter and brighter. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, so his golden moments shine like crazy. You know, even the ones that aren't that great still are better than what he's going through now.
Right, exactly. I love as it fades to black, you just fade in, and before you see anything at all, you just hear the coughing first, right?
Yeah.
You like, there's no visuals or anything. It's just, and it's just like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
20 years later, here we are. Dude, I couldn't shake it in my head once I put him and Doug the Bounty Hunter together. I was just like, I can't not unsay this now.
Oh,
you
nice!
Look like Doug the Bounty Hunter. I'm sorry.
I was going for more of a Vigo the Carpathian kind of look, but like
nice.
Doug the Bounty Hunter.
Command me, Lord.
Yeah, no, that is actually way more like those dudes. I mean, if he was rocking, you know, like a goatee or something, like, yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
Glasses. Yeah, totally. He's not happy about his cut, and the manager says, I was sure the gate would be bigger. We're already seeing kind of how the world is affecting this guy who's doing it tough. Now, this is something that I was like really interested in because wrestling to me, I feel like had its heyday back when we were growing up, you know, like back when, in terms of like when Randy was kind of like in this story, like a thing.
Right.
I don't think it's as big of a thing now. Like, I guarantee you it still makes a shitload of money. So I looked it up, right? There was this, assuming this is set in 2008. So apparently the live attendance figure for pro wrestling figures have been dropping. And I looked at a survey by the Sportster.com specifically for WWE. Based on the results from 417 adults 18 or older, the numbers only showed that 30% of the viewers thought the product was too cartoonish, 29% didn't think the storylines were interesting, and another 28% didn't like the characters. Like, apparently, you know, but I mean, like, look, as of 2019, WWE generated over $700 million. Like, I mean, it's still a fucking juggernaut, right?
I feel like
but here's my thing.
It pitches and wanes. You know, it goes up and down probably.
Yeah. But here's my thing. I think with the introduction and the like, just how popular the UFC is becoming, I think that's definitely had an impact on pro wrestling. Like, like seeing as UFC is more of a vicious and brutal and actual, I guess, real, like matchup,
Street fight.
whatever you want to call it. Right, exactly. So it's interesting, and I wonder if that's a contributing factor. Given the decline, but it's pretty cool.
I definitely, because same thing with boxing. I mean, I think boxing is just kind of, you've got Pacquiao and Mayweather, but I couldn't. I couldn't name you off, who's the Tyson or who's like the Evander Holyfield or the Lennox Lewis of like now. I really couldn't tell you.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like it goes because when I was in middle school, when I was 2000, 2003, it just felt absolutely huge. But now, in the South, it is huge. Wrestling is a huge thing. Like they have local wrestling around here. Like they go to the VFW, put up a mat, and like there's people who are wrestlers and stuff. And a lot of people go. They just want to hang out and drink a beer, and it's just something to do. It's cheap, it's not anything crazy.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it's hard for me to tell because it has always been something absolutely massive here. You go to Walmart, there's the Marvel Avengers, and right across the aisle is like Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, like, all of them are action figures, like very, very, very popular. I mean, come on, it's the South. Don't be shocked, but what are you gonna
do? Well, I mean, I'm not lying when I say that. Yeah, I mean, like if you walked into a department store, you would still find action figures, like wrestling action figures. It's a thing. People still buy them. Kids still buy them. It's just, I think, and maybe because I'm so detached from it, I have a feeling that it's declined a lot since when we were growing up, early 2000s. But I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. All right, let's have a look at this. He walks outside and encounters one of the only things that keeps him going, right? The fans, as these two guys ask for his autograph rather. Dude, did you notice that he's got his own action figure on the dash of his car?
Yeah. I know. It's like, wow.
Wow. And he's driving a Ram. Haha, we get it.
Yeah, very, very punny. Well, also the fucking song is so heavy. You don't know what you got till it's gone. And I was like, okay, come on, dude.
Yeah.
That's a little much.
Yeah. He gets back to his trailer, which he finds is all locked up. I love the way that this is shot, by the way, right? It's mostly from behind with a handheld camera. And it kind of feels like how you would feel if you had a hangover. Like, he's kind of had a high. He's been on a high while he's been wrestling and, like, hanging out with wrestlers. And he comes home to reality. And now it's just all kind of like shaky cam. Like, it's just unfocused.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, like, it's like, talk about using your cinematographer and photography to elicit feelings from you, man. Like, I was just like, God damn, this is great.
Right.
I watched this 3 times for the podcast, by the way. 3 times.
Oh, nice. I definitely got the feeling of like the high has worn off and your body is now out. It's like when you get into a fight and like after the fight is over, your stomach is like, and you feel like you're going to throw up. It's like, okay, now the shock is setting in of what I've just done.
Well, exactly. I mean, like he takes his meds and has to sleep in his car because he's been evicted. And I just wanted to point out the understated score here. Like as he looks at the old photos on the wall of his truck. And this is quite clearly not the first time he's slept here. Quite clearly not the first time he's been evicted. There's a lot of storytelling here, in these first few minutes. That's really, really fantastic. He's super charming with these kids, right, who look up to him.
Love this, dude. Loved it. Oh, man. This is so good.
Yeah, talk to me. Like, it's great. Well, here's something that was really interesting to me, because in 2008, I'm 15, I saw the posters for The Wrestler, and although I'm not a fan of The Wrestler, I knew who Darren Aronofsky was as a 15-year-old even, because I'd seen Requiem for a Dream. I mean, come on, there's a double-sided dildo in that movie. But, like
Jennifer Connelly's at the end of one of those, too.
Yeah. But I mean, like, this, I had always assumed that Randy in this movie, was this kind of asshole. Like he's this big, giant, kind of like jock-looking guy. And right. I was kind of like a little flawed that he is super, super kind and caring and a bit of a fucking sweetheart.
No, yeah. It's such a double-sided coin because it's like he's a fucking asshole to his like immediate family and will ditch any responsibility that gets in the way of him actually succeeding in what he wants to do. But when he is in that element and he is around the things that he wants to do, dude, he's gold. He's such a nice guy. And yeah, there's something about that, like especially with the kids coming out. It feels like The Fighter. It feels like watching Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale go down the street, and they're giving people hugs and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's what it feels like. You feel like just a local boy,
We gotta cover The Fighter one day, man. I fucking love that movie.
Me too.
It's fucking incredible. So he plays with this guy Lenny, who's the manager who refuses to help him. Do you know who plays Lenny?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the. From what we talked about, he's in Breaking Bad. He's
yes.
Uncle Tio. I can't remember what his exact name is.
Yeah, he played Hector Salamanca. It's Mark Margolis. He's in Ace Ventura. Yeah.
Right, and he was in like Daredevil, and I was like, what the fuck? When he popped up and we covered Daredevil, I was like, son of a bitch.
Crazy, dude. Crazy. And again, it's clear this isn't the first time he's been evicted. He asked his boss, Wayne, for more hours. I'm just going to let you rip into Wayne.
Wayne looks like he likes to lay in a bathtub and let other people pee on him.
I said nearly the same thing. I said this guy goes home after every shift at night to a fucking caravan by himself, and he fucking asphyxiate himself. Like,
yeah.
Yes. Like he dies the same way David Carradine died.
Right, yeah, like Michael Hutchins from NXS. He just pulls a Michael Hutchins. There's something about like, well, I never took a risk, so I'll criticize everyone else who ever did. I was born in this town, I'll die in this town, and I'll never take a risk, and I'll fuck the sleeve of my favorite jacket for the next 20 years like I have for the past 20 years. And like, God, I hate... and that's what sucks is when you're working in an environment like this. I worked in a lot of grocery stores, and there were always a lot of people that were like, you're in a band? Like, you do a podcast? And I'm like, oh, what do you go home and do? Fucking watch TV? And it's like, there's nothing wrong with going home and watching TV, but I want something else out of that. I've got a hobby. Like, I do want to do something else. I hated working with people who were just like, that guy goes home and like collects action figures or builds models, and he's like 40. I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like, that's what he likes to do. Like, leave him alone. Like, God, I hate that shit, man, because I have gotten that look so many times from like, what's your podcast about? I'm like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, don't even worry about it. I had a guy.
Me too.
I had a guy, I'm working in an office, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, hey, how's your podcast going? She sat right next to me, really sweet girl, really, really nice. And I was talking to her about it. And one of our managers, and this guy's always been an asshole, just like jumped up and was like, oh yeah, I do a movie podcast with this guy from New Zealand. And the girl next to me goes, it's Australia. And I was like, oh shit. And like she looked at this manager. I was like, fuck you. He's from Australia. And I was like, oh, cool. Thanks. Like, but that was that kind of like, dude, I may have mentioned this a couple of times, and I'm proud of the fact that I do one, but this guy has
New Zealand. Are you fucking no?
That's what you're most mad at.
I'm done.
Is that like somebody saying I'm from That's like somebody saying I'm from Arkansas. You're like, I quit.
That's fucking disgusting.
Well, to be fair, Fiji, Indian, New Zealand, but whatever. But no, yeah, that's what absolutely killed me, was just like, hey, who the fuck was talking to you anyways? But B, like, oh, what do you go home and do? Drink every night and watch, burn yourself out on Netflix? Like, at least I go home and fucking do something I love, So yeah, this really struck a very sour, like blistering, swollen nerve with me. And I was like, I hope he just like chokes in a restaurant and nobody gets up. And they're like, I gotta finish chewing my croutons. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
It's just condescending, right? I mean, like the way he looks at Randy, the way he talks about the wrestling on the weekends, yeah, I 100% agree with you, dude. I don't think I've spoken to anyone yet who is condescending about the podcast or about this creative outlet. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there would be 100% people out there, like, especially those that you work with, who are like, you do a podcast? Oh, that's fucking weird.
Right.
But it's like, well, fuck you, dude. Like, I mean, hey, I at least I have a creative outlet. At least I can look back on like the last 2 years of my creative thinking and see how my thinking has changed.
Right.
Like, at least there's a record of that. But yeah, let's, all right. Pre-fight, all these wrestlers are gearing up. Rourke, by the way, Rourke is ripped.
He kind of looks like a walking hernia. Like, he looks just like a walking hernia. But yeah, like he's got that older kind of bloated, really in shape, like look, like that Schwarzenegger and Stallone who were like 70, kind of look. But yeah, I mean, still, I wouldn't fuck around with this dude.
I mean, 27 pounds again, right? I mean, look, Stallone looks like a melting candle. Like, I've seen him without a shirt off, like in a movie recently, and it is not good. And we already mentioned that Rourke's previous life as a boxer made him no stranger to the gym. And I mean, like, apparently he had a comeback fight in 2014, like an actual fight, like a boxing fight.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, we're watching it, right? This is literally the wrestler.
I have to
coming back and doing like something like a comeback fight.
Well, 2014. I mean, God, how old is Mickey Rourke? You know, I'm actually gonna look this up real quick. Mickey Rourke,
63. I don't know.
He is 68 right now. 68. Jesus. So 6 years ago, he was 62.
56.
50. Well, what you said 2014?
Wait. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. I was talking about this movie.
No. He is 62 years old, planning a comeback fight. I'm like, that's a bad idea, man. That's not. And I don't mean that to be like, no, seriously, don't do that, man. That's not a good idea. Like, you can really get hurt doing that shit.
Yeah, I even think Mike Tyson's too old to fight. Like, he's gearing up for a fight right now. He's 54, right? I mean, Jesus. Like, I know you're the champ and you've still got it, but goddamn.
Right. Be careful. Just be careful.
Right. Tommy Rotten versus Randy the Ram for the strap. And he's strapping up. His opponent, Tommy, walks in. I like the chivalry between these two. Like, there's zero animosity. Randy just, even like you said, praises him by saying that he was really good that time. We saw him in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
There's this level of sportsmanship, dude, and just a level of camaraderie. And it's just like, we both understand that we need to go out there and pretend to be enemies and mortal enemies.
Right.
But back here, we are the best of friends, and let's go grab a beer later. Like, you know,
right.
It's fucking great.
There's like no ego. It's just like, hey, what are we going to do? Like, I'm Randy the Ram, so I'm going to win regardless. And he's like, bud, how are we going to do this to give them like their money's worth? I'm like, cool. Like, I dig that, man. That's really cool.
Apparently, all of these locker room scenes, when they're kind of like behind the scenes, they're all improvised. There's no script for this. It's all just off the cuff.
I believe,
which is great.
It feels great.
It feels very natural. Absolutely. We see these other wrestlers planning out the fight. Gonna really milk it. Don't work his leg, man. Everybody does that. Work his neck. And he plants the blade in the tape. And this is what we were talking about earlier. This is actually called blading. Apparently, it's been a part of the professional wrestling for ages. If a wrestler needs to make the culmination of their feud dramatic, intense, and memorable, then being covered in their own blood seems to be the way to go. Apparently, it's got other names like juicing, gigging, or getting color. And dude, I looked up, like, there is a list on the internet, and it's like top 10 times blading has gone wrong. Like, John Cena's made the list. Number one, I'll read this for you. Number one, the late, great Eddie Guerrero suffered one of the most distinguishedly unpleasant blade jobs of all times during Judgment Day 2004. After a heinous chair shot to the head, Eddie bladed himself, but something went wrong. He went way too deep and cut an artery. An artery.
Fuck.
Blood was pumping everywhere. Eddie was covered in it. His opponent, JBL, was covered in it. The ring mat was coated so deep in the stuff it resembled a toddler's paddling pool. Jesus Christ, dude. That is intense. And like, again, I really appreciate the level of realism that Mickey Rourke brings to this scene, right? I mean, like, this is him actually blading himself in this scene. This is no special effects.
Because I used to hear a lot of them, and I'm probably speaking out of term. I used to hear a lot of them would just cut right at the eyebrow right there. So it was like your eyebrow and like your scalp and stuff bleeds like a lot. It's just real sensitive skin, but it was like very artificial bleeding. But yeah, cutting yourself like right in the top of the goddamn head, dude. That is not tough skin up there, man.
No. And the first time I was watching this movie, he's putting the blades in his like kind of like straps, and I'm just like, what? Is he cheating or something?
Like, I thought he was
gonna right, exactly. Like, and I was just like, I had no idea, but that is crazy to me.
Oh my god, dude! I just looked up Eddie Guerrero's. That is awful, man. He looks like Marvin.
Judgment Day,
Oh, dude, he looks terrible. Like that's insanity, dude. That should have been stopped. That is fucking bad. That is really fucking bad. You know what his theme song used to be?
I can't remember.
We lie, we cheat, we steal. And I'm like, that's why my parents never really wanted us watching this growing up. I get it now.
Oh, yes. He literally hits a guy in the head with a chair on the way to the ring. I fucking love it.
Love that,
and
man.
Then we get the fight. I do like the way that most of this shot, right? Like, it's mostly long takes. And it's not exactly the length of the bout in the middle of Creed, because in Creed, there's like a boxing match in the middle of it, and it is completely unbroken. It goes for like 7 or 8 minutes. It's crazy. But this is still great, and it's good to know that it's mostly Rourke fighting. There is a stuntman here, but Rourke is a big part of this, and especially at the end as well, when he's fighting the Ayatollah. We'll get to it, but yeah. He does a ram jam, and he pins him. I love this harsh cut from this loud, great celebration with the crowd cheering and the celebration music just playing to just complete silence, and Randy just sitting there sweating bullets, dude, like his cut being tended to by the paramedic. Again, Aronofsky's really showing us what goes on behind the scenes and what the audience doesn't see. And the manager reminds Randy that the 20-year anniversary fight between him and the Ayatollah is coming up. He wants to organize a rematch in Wilmington. In response, Randy says the guy playing the Ayatollah, Bob, has just like, it's just amazing to me that the Ayatollah has just such a plain name, dude. It's just a character. And by the way, the Ayatollah.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing back then, of just like Futurama does a really good like parody with Bender the Gender Offender, when he like comes out and does like fake wrestling and stuff. Like there's a robot who comes out and is like, my ways are different than yours and they're scary. It's one of the funniest like fucking bits.
Well, apparently the Ayatollah's name was inspired by an opponent that Hulk Hogan fought, I think in the 80s or something, named the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, there was a bunch of shit like that. Yeah, there was just like, who's brown and who's Russian? Let's get a fucking, let's just get some crazy competition.
So the Ayatollah has a car lot that's doing good business. He doesn't know if he'll come out for the fight, but the manager assures him that he'll come out for this. To which Randy says, okay, bring it. And I like that we're kind of already seeing the hesitancy already from Randy. I don't know if it's him being nice and considering that Bob's moved on from this, or if it's him kind of realizing, hey, I got to move on from wrestling.
Right, yeah. I think it's
like pre-heart attack.
Right, it's early to toss out, because it's like, part of me is like, does he know that he's like, man, I'm a fuck up. I don't want to drag somebody else in here and get Bob hurt, you know? I think if I had to guess, I'd say it's probably it.
But I mean, like, we even get like a little bit of a microcosm of the entire movie here, because this manager, when he confirms the rematch, like they fist bump, and right after they fist bump, Randy clutches his arm in pain. Like, you know, it's like, I am so ready to do this, but my body is literally just reminding me, hey, you're in a fucking shitload of pain, dude.
Very Futurama. The spirit is willing, but the body is flesh and spongy. The flesh is tired and spongy, or something like that.
We get the strip club called Cheeks, Cheeques. And we meet Cassidy, played by Marissa Tomei, aka Aunt May. I wonder what Peter would think. Can you imagine if this kid grows up to be Peter Parker?
This would just grow like, I can imagine like as Mickey Rourke is like sitting in the van, and he's like, that guy looks a lot like, nah, that's not him, and he like flies off, like, that guy looks like Ivan Vanko, and he's like, nah, there's no way.
Randy breaks, she's being underappreciated by these guys, these frat boys, because of her age. Fucking assholes, by the way. Randy breaks it up. She's pissed because $200 just walked out.
I can do something your girlfriend never did. Yeah, like graduate in 1985. I fucking almost spit my drink out. I was like, good. Good.
Yeah, that was good.
But dude, when he shoves like one guy and all four of them move, and I was like, okay, so it really is. You can see like the fucking size on this guy. Like,
he's a behemoth. Scary. He's a behemoth. They're like fucking twigs. We get the sense that they're familiar with each other. Randy's a regular. And dude, hard cut to fucking lap dance, just straight ass, right?
Oh,
I'm just man. Like, oh, here we go.
She looks
was not
amazing.
expecting nudity from Tomei. She does, man. She's, I think, 40 something here at this. That's time.
What he's like. Man, you're old. Like, if that is old, then what do you fuck, like 12-year-olds? I don't understand, because this woman is like. I honestly think I think of like Seinfeld when she walks out and she's like,
fucking gorgeous.
Oh, she's scorching
even
hot,
now.
dude. Right. Yeah. Well, it's like watching something like, Seinfeld when she pops up, and I'm like, dude, she is way hotter now. Way hotter. Way hotter.
Dude, you're watching Civil War, and there she is. Like, she's playing Aunt May, who is this, supposed to be the stick in the mud for Peter Parker. And Robert Downey Jr. is just straight up flirting with her, dude. Like, she
Just imagine
is
if
smoking.
if this movie had swapped it out and it was like Sally Field up there like dancing, like she's like the fuck.
but not even Sally Field. It's the Aunt May from the first Spider-Man.
It's Rosemary Clooney.
That's right. That's right.
But deliver us from evil. Oh, I love you, Rosemary Clooney. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god. Oh,
I've really had to put in some work since Ben died. Oh man.
Her and her fucking old man fucking nephew who's supposed to be in high school.
Her like 90. Oh man. It's dangerous.
Oh, that's good.
It's dangerous.
Whew, man, I gotta recover here. Oh man, but yeah, like Tomei is 44 here, which is crazy. But
Cool.
She shows care and compassion for Randy when she sees his forehead cut, and genuine interest when he's showing his scars. Right, like this is why he keeps coming back. Right, like this is literally someone who cares about him, like genuinely cares about him. There's no fuckery here. There's no faking. It's just, oh, yeah. And look, there is this line, right? Like we got to talk about the line that she really sets for herself. You're a customer, right? Like Randy doesn't see it that way. Randy's like, oh, man, I was really hoping we could be a lot more. And that is, this movie is very tragic because again, you know that the ending of the movie is not going to be great for Randy, but it's also tragic in that, man, like he just, like, you could have saved him, probably. Like, you know, you could have probably saved him.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things
him out
where
of this.
It's like, you know, to what extent, though, would he eventually, this would not be enough, that he would have to, you know, I think that he's almost kind of like an addict, to where it's like, I don't really care, you know, I could have a wife and kids and blah, blah, like, I had a chance to do that, but, like, I'm addicted to being accomplished in this thing. I think you've got to do that for yourself before, you know, he's wanting her to be like his knight in shining armor. And it's like, man, you gotta go out there and do that shit yourself. You know, it's like, you got to commit that yourself.
Randy's buying drops from something that looks like my penis if it were white. All right. Oh, that big guy. Oh.
Yeah. This guy really did, like, yeah, go for it. Yes. I don't even know this guy's name.
Yeah. So fuck me. I forgot his name too.
Oh,
but
yeah, something. I don't know.
He got arrested, like apparently 2 weeks after this. Hold on, let me look this up. Fuck this shit. I need to deliver this, okay? Because I don't want Patrick to fucking leave. All right. So.
No, yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like selling steroids and like fighting federal agents and shit. Like it was something pretty big. And you're right, it was not that long after either this was filmed or when this came out. I read it just a minute ago, but I can't remember the guy's name.
Yes, sorry, I have it. Scott Siegel. So Scott Siegel was the guy. Apparently, his career was derailed that winter night when Siegel walked up to a Honda Civic parked suspiciously outside his parents' house in Eastchester. The car had the darkest tinted windows he'd ever seen, so dark that he had to cup his hands around his eyes to press face against the glass. Jesus Christ, just tell me what happened here. What he saw looking straight back at him was another pair of eyes. Siegel jumped back from the car, cursing. No one got out of the car. Siegel walked around the vehicle and then walked away, having figured out that he was under police surveillance. In the Honda were law enforcement officers with the DEA. Oh, shit, feds. Westchester County Task Force. They'd be watching Siegel for years, since almost immediately after his release from a 2.5-year prison stint selling ecstasy. The agent suspected he had been supplementing his acting income by dealing steroids. In fact, the 285-pound Siegel had been using anabolics his entire adult life, starting as a 15-year-old with body image insecurities. Today, Siegel, 35, sits in a cell in the Westchester County Jail in Valhalla. Wild.
Wow.
But yeah, this guy's got everything. He's got blow, he's got Viagra, and we see Randy taking steroids. Even to this guy, dude, Randy shows respect, right? There's a sense of, hey, I know you, so let's talk about something other than drugs, as he just, you know, says he looks good and he asks him to flex. Like, this is not needed, but I'm fucking glad it's in there. Like, you know, you could cut, like, if you're Aronofsky and you wanted to cut down the movie for time, you could easily cut this by like 30 seconds earlier. Like, you know, you don't need the, hey, man, you can go ahead and flex, but this says so much about Randy's character that it's amazing.
Right. Well, he's just like, hey, even though we're doing something illegal and blah, 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 let's end this on something kind of like a camaraderie, you know?
Right. And he injects the roids into his ass. I wrote that when he slaps his ass, it's like when Rocky fucking punches the prime beef.
It looks like he for real sticks his ass, too. I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
I was like, God, that looks like it's really in there, man.
Right. He even talks to the woman who does his hair, like even though she doesn't know a lick of English. Like, you know, it's so endearing, dude. Like, you know, he's here to fucking listen to her problems.
I think it also speaks to something where it's like somebody who, you know, would he talk to these people regardless? Like, yeah. But I think it also speaks to someone who's longing for a human connection.
I mean, considering that he breaks humans, right? Every night. Jersey Dollar Supermarket, they're buying wrestling props. I love them testing out the pans and shit. Give it to me, brother. Dude, even the cashier's getting in on it. This Indian dude, I fucking love this. When they fucking bang it against his head. And then we get another fight, this time at CZW, which stands for Combat Zone Wrestling. I know if I didn't say that, Patrick will kill me. This guy, Randy, is about to fight, dude, like the shit with the staples. Ugh, wild. Like even like Randy's initially like hesitant, but he's just like, oh man, all right, yeah, I guess I'm gonna do this, huh?
Dude, yeah, this guy is like the Rick and Morty version of Cletus the Slack-Jawed Yokel, you know, just this crazy, smokes meth and got like strangle small animals and then shows up to wrestle on the weekends.
Right. And Patrick posted a photo of this guy because apparently he's like a real life wrestler. He posted a photo of this guy in the after party. Dude's got like cancer or some shit. Like it's wild. And apparently he's only like 40 something too. Hard cut to the opponent, fucking bloody, battered and bruised, entangled in barbed wire before Randy knocks him out with a glass panel to the head. Dude, I visibly like winced when we see Randy exiting the ring and we see the staples in his back. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. He gets to the locker room. We see the insane amount of damage sustained to his body. Comes across the guy he just knocked out and genuinely asks if he's okay. Like, you know, like you look like you've just fought 3 tours in Nam, but you're still concerned about your opponent.
Right. Sportsmanship, man. I dig it.
I love it. We see what happened. I love the way that this is edited, by the way, because we see what happened in the fight as they're both being treated. You know, like it's like clever editing trickery. It's good stuff. Staples to the nips, bug spray to the face, fork to the forehead, barbed wire crutch. Dude, this dude literally asked Randy to take his prosthetic leg and use it as a weapon, which is apparently based on a real event.
Hell yeah. I like it.
Yeah. And I love the crowd getting in on this, right? Use his leg.
Yeah, use his leg.
Fucking savages. Randy vomits before clutching his left arm and subsequently passing out. Wakes up in a hospital, disoriented, and bad news bears, right? Doctor tells him he's had a bypass and that he needs to take better care of his heart. And he'll be on meds and needs to cut out the other meds that he's on, aka the steroids and the other bullshit, whatever he's on. Dude, I love this. I love it. First question, when can I get back in the gym and start working out? And doctor straight up says, dude, like not a good idea to keep wrestling. You can't handle strenuous activity. Randy pleads with the doctor. The doctor advises strongly against wrestling. And the most heartbreaking part about this, dude, is, you know, like I appreciate him having the heart attack, and that's all very sad. For me, it's nobody picking him up from the hospital, and he has to catch a cab to the parking lot of the place where he passed out. Like that is, oh man.
Well, and it's also one of those things where if you I think a sign of like utter loneliness is if you didn't show up by 10 o'clock at night somewhere, would somebody start freaking out? No, nobody would freak out if he didn't show up. Maybe after a couple days.
Exactly. You haven't been missed, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like maybe after a few days, maybe after a couple weeks when the guys at the VFW, you know, notice you're not doing any matches or whatever. But I feel like this guy, if he dies in his trailer, his landlord finds him, you know, because he hasn't paid rent or something. It's not going to be something like some family member like, hey, I'm checking up on you, you know. Oh, man, it's gut-wrenching.
That's a good point. Yeah, like he won't be found out of like a family member genuinely concerned. It's you didn't pay my money, you know? Yeah,
right.
That fucking sucks. He regains access to his trailer by paying the park manager, and he's got a gnarly scar on his chest. Oh, by the way, I've been meaning to ask you, do you have random pornography plastered behind your towel rack? Because Randy does.
Oh, at his house? Like, wait, he's got it at the hospital?
Did you?
And I was like, oh, that's incredible.
Dude,
I did not.
He gets out of the shower in his caravan and reaches for a towel, and behind the towel is just plastered an A4, just women's, just tits. Like, not even like a face or a head. It's just a torso with tits. I'm just like, that is such a random place.
I just now saw that. Like,
fucking porno.
There is something kind of funny about that, though, of just like you move the towel and it's like this towel would always be here. Yeah, there's something kind of funny about that. Something kind of clever.
Actually, if I am thinking, right, putting my thinking cap on here, I don't see Randy as someone who pays for home internet. So when he's in the shower, he needs material.
Yeah, I beat off on analog. I'm not digital.
Right. He's still paying for like fucking Playboy in print.
He orders like Girls Gone Wild on DVD. This is groundbreaking stuff.
Oh, dude, it's on VHS. He doesn't even have a fucking DVD player.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man. He's reading, but his chest and arm starts hurting again. He literally has nobody, so he calls in one of these kids into the trailer to play Nintendo. That struck me the second time around. Like, it is weird, you know, calling in a kid. I get all that. But it struck me the second time around that he didn't want to be alone in case he, like, maybe collapsed or some shit. Like, you know, like, that was really striking to me the second time around. I missed that the first time.
Right. Well, yeah, and there's something like, you know, man, I wish I had a kid. You know, I wish I could play and hang out with, like, my kid and stuff. Like, yeah, you could have. You kind of fucked that up the first time around, you know?
Right, exactly. And, like, him playing this Randy, like, this game that features him, like, the character... What do you think? What do you make of that? Like, is there some kind of level of like narcissism here, or is it just kind of like him being nostalgic?
You know, I think it's kind of just like, you know, if you gave this guy an Xbox controller and we're like, hey, we're going 1v1 Rust, Modern Warfare 2, you know, he would be like, what?
Intervention, bitch, no scopes.
Right, yeah, he'd be like, nah, I can't, you know, I can't do that. But, you know, you kind of have to even the playing field. Like, if this were even like Mike Tyson's like Punch Out or something, you know, he'd probably be cool with it. But it almost makes sense. Like, did he go out and buy this and buy a copy of his own game? No, I think somebody gave him this as a gift a long time ago. And this is the only thing that even if he ever felt like playing a game, this is what he would do, you know?
Right. This kid describing COD 4 is hilarious, by the way. I'm just like, bitch! The SAS's soldier's name is Soap and Price. Have some goddamn respect for the fallen, because those motherfuckers are legends, all right? But again, it shows that...
Soap McTavish.
Oh, Soap McTavish. Fucking love it, dude. In Modern Warfare 2, there's fucking Keith David in it, dude. Get to the Burger Town.
Oh, dude, love it. Lance Henriksen is the Colonel. And I was like, that's sick ass, dude. Love it. What do you?
We've talked about.
I didn't ask you this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, because I'm moving on to the wrestler.
I was just about to say we've talked about Bruce Greenwood and Glenn Morshower as Overlord. I fucking love it, dude. Fucking this is Overlord. Good stuff.
I loved like the Juggernaut. It was like zombies for Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, but it was just like you and a partner killing AI as it came in, but it wasn't zombies.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, but what is up with this? So I guess it's Spec Ops. Is he deaf in one ear?
Yeah, I caught that too the second time around, because it's so prevalent when he's, you know, hanging out with his daughter. I'm pretty sure, like, it looks like he's going deaf or he is deaf in one ear. But again, it really speaks to the fact that his body's breaking down, right? Right.
Yeah. I wondered what you thought of him. It's like, man, there's something interesting about that, where it's just like him, you know, he doesn't make a big deal out of it, and you just see him taking it. And I feel like when he takes it out or puts it in, you can hear like a, and it's like gone for a second. Like, I swear to God, maybe it's just me inflicting my own hearing loss on it, but I was like, oh shit. Like there's something about that. This huge hulking man wearing this like childlike device, you know, there's something, there's something about that.
Well, the first time I picked up on it was when he's working in the deli, and I just thought it was an earpiece so he could communicate with his like coworkers. But then I saw it again in like the scene with Evan Rachel Wood, and I was like, oh wait, hold on, you're deaf, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So just couple of cool little things about this game. Turns out this game is actually called Wrestle Jam, and it was specifically designed for the movie by artist Kristen Hume and programmer Randall Furino. It wasn't actually running on Nintendo hardware, though Nintendo controllers were wired up to play it. And apparently there's like a extensive story about the development of the game. And I just got a little bit of a snippet. So Furino, a tools programmer, Denver area developer, NetDevil had to program WrestleJam from the ground up, writing rendering, input, and artificial intelligence routines for the 2 playable characters. And Furino says, WrestleJam is completely playable. There was an intro screen, character select, win-loss conditions, opponent AI, 8 different attacks. It was as close to a genuine old-school wrestling game as I could make it in the time allowed. I even mapped an old Nintendo controller to put to input the system so they can play it that way. Fucking awesome, dude.
That's a lot for just that little bit, you know?
Right, exactly.
But there's something kind of sad about that. The fact that this is just so archaic, and here's this washed up dude, you know, sleeping in a trailer and stuff. But it's like, dude, for a while, this guy was like, do you know who Tommy Morrison, the boxer, is? Do you know who he is?
No.
He was Tommy Gunn in Rocky V. He was Rocky's protege in Rocky V.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
I just watched Rocky V very recently again, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fresh in my mind.
Badass real life. Dude, this guy been boxing his whole adult life, knocked out George Foreman, or TKO George Foreman. I think he won by points. I mean, George Foreman, this is in the 90s, you know, late 80s. But Tommy Morrison ended up testing positive for AIDS and had to drop out of boxing. And the fucked up thing was they ended up figuring out that Tommy Morrison actually knew for a while when he was boxing. But it's like, dude, imagine. And Tommy Morrison died at like 44 because he eventually just got strung out on drugs. And like, dude, if you see what Tommy Morrison looked like in his prime, and then his like pictures of him getting arrested right before his death, it's horrible. It is fucking horrible to look at. You cannot believe it's even this guy. But, you know, imagine that guy still alive living in a trailer, and he's like, yeah, you guys want to watch Rocky V? You know, just be like, what a sad, washed up motherfucker, you know? But it's like, but for a fleeting moment, this guy was on top of the fucking world. Like, this guy had the world at his fingertips. It's like, and I wonder what exactly happened. They don't ever really give a reason why. Like, Dickie Eklund in The Fighter got addicted to drugs. He kind of blew it, you know. But what happened to the Ram? Where the Ram either did the market dry up for what he was doing? Did he fuck it up? Did time just pass him on and he hit a ceiling and couldn't? You know, I'm wondering what the reasons are. He never really broke that ceiling.
That's why I like when I started this movie. I kind of looked up why wrestling diminished in terms of viewership, because I think that's a factor. I dead set think because this guy is so good at wrestling and what he does, and working in an industry that is just becoming less and less popular by the minute. Like, you know, it's just going to happen. Eventually you're going to want to cling to it, and you're going to want to like cling to the old days that it just eventually consumes your life. And that's why I was just like,
I'm sure there's some ageism in it as well, you know, like,
for sure.
A guy who looks like that is not the face of wrestling you want, you know? No, I mean, it's not like he's ugly. He's just not in great shape.
He's pretty ugly.
Well, I mean, I can't believe his balls produce Evan Rachel Wood. I'm like, that smoke show of a woman? Nah, get the fuck out of here.
Well, I mean, like, Mickey Rourke in this movie looks like a white Danny Trejo. Like, you know, like that's what his face looks like.
He looks, dude, he is so handsome as a younger man, like a fox. He's a fucking fox, dude. And it's like, what did you do to yourself, man? What the fuck? Look at Kris Jenner. Like, what the fuck did you do to yourself? You look terrible.
Oh, that's great. He goes to the strip club, asks Cassidy if she wants to grab a hamburger, but this takes her by surprise. She says, I can't leave with a customer. He tells her about the heart attack, which changes her mind. I don't like Hercules, he says. What? Oh, I don't feel like Hercules, he says.
Oh, I was like, wait,
again, yeah. What? I was like, what the fuck?
I don't remember that one.
I like Cassidy here, right? Like, I like her kind of like, I'm just gonna take a smoke break. You know, like this is just too much for. This is like, I can't ignore this. I need to talk to him. Like, you know, she's very caring about Randy.
Yeah, you know, I'm conflicted on that because yes, she does like split, you know, right then, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna talk to him. But as soon as she does any kind of like lip service, oh, are you okay? Okay, cool. And she just immediately goes back in. And I'm like, and part of that is, you know, in her profession, I understand why she would be closed off. That's understandable. I don't fault her for that. But there's something about that where it's like, even in the face of this, like, it's not like you're a fucking Secret Service agent. It's like you're a dancer. And it's like, and I understand you don't want to lose your job. You have a lot on the line. But this guy obviously has something for you. You probably know him enough to know that he doesn't have a lot of people in his life. And he comes here to just straight up be like, hey, I fucking need to talk to somebody. Like, maybe hang out with dude for a little. Don't, oh, you had a heart attack? Okay, well, I got to go back in. I'll see you later. And I'm like, man, that just seemed a little, I just didn't dig on that, man. I just didn't dig on that. But I think it's also, you can't fault her because that's where her character is at this moment. I think him coming in and relaying the problems, she has a problem of like trust. I feel like as a character, especially someone who's a customer. So to see him kind of extend that olive branch first is what's important. She would not be the one to bring the first meal to the table. He would have to bring, you would have to be the first one to lay it out there. You know what I mean? I think this is important.
I do know what you mean. I'm also wondering if there's a level of, because she's planning on moving with her son soon, so I'm wondering if she is
true.
Somewhat closed off to, connecting with someone on an intimate level and, finding a partner in Randy, that she's just like, man, I don't know. I don't want to get involved because I have plans. Like I have actual plans.
Right.
But I don't know. Like I think that kind of feeds into it. Like plus not being able to trust anyone considering what her job is. Like I feel like those two things together might lend to, her kind of like being like, oh, are you okay? Okay, cool. Let me go do my next thing,
Right. Well, and it felt very Marv and Goldie when he comes in and the four guys are fucking with her and he's like stands up for her and he's like, hey, don't talk to her like that. And I'm like, but like she's like, oh, come on, go. Okay. But deep down, she's like, I would fucking fuck the shit out of this guy right now. Like that. Thank you. I deal with people like that all the time. Fucking thank you.
Totally. He says, I just don't feel right. That's why I want to talk to you because I don't want to be alone. And she says that he should be with her daughter, but there appears to be some animosity with them, which we haven't found out yet. But here we go. Because that night he digs out an old photo of his daughter with a bunch of outdated phone numbers on the back. I love that. Like just a nice touch, dude. When he picks up the photo, you can see on the back there's like 4 crossed out phone numbers. Yeah. And I wonder if it's like him trying to keep tabs on her, but he's just not able to. Like, like it's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah. It seems like either and don't reach out, or you're trying to track this person down and have like a half-assed time of doing it,
Right. I mean, like, he tries the latest one, but the call doesn't go through. Imagine what he's feeling here, right? Like, he just went through this highly traumatic experience, right, that likely isn't over, and, death fucking looms near, and you just can't get a hold of your only daughter. I don't know, man. Like, I don't have kids, but I feel like that is harrowing to me. Like, like the only person who you loved and is capable of loving you back on paper, who should be loving you back, like you can't get a hold of him. Like you're about to die, probably. Ugh.
Right. It's like waiting on death row from the call from the governor, and it's approaching midnight. Like, nah, man, it's time to go. This is it.
Yeah. Fucking another classic Colin analogy. There we go. I'm like, let me fucking spill out this like 20 million word run-on sentence, and you're just like, yep, let me surmise it here. I love it. Goes to Stephanie's place.
If only I could do that with my opening thoughts.
Well, this podcast is going to be fucking 8 hours long.
I know.
He goes to Stephanie's place and this chick opens the door. This chick, by the way, was only cast just to cast like judgmental looks at Randy. Like, dude, I wonder if that was in the fucking casting call. Black chick wanted for like good at judgmental looks.
Right. Yeah. There's something. Yeah. There is that look, but there's also like a very protectiveness about her that I dig. Yes. Where she's like, "Who the fuck are you?" It's like, who is this guy?
Right. Because you imagine that Stephanie has told her all about her dad, right? Like,
right.
Must be. I already said that Evan Rachel Wood is acting in this movie. Especially in this scene where she freaks out and, like, it's good. I think it's a little too much. I think she goes a little overboard. And, especially in the scene where she starts throwing shit. I don't know. I can see her acting. And maybe it's just because Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei are just so good in this movie that if you have a weak link, it just kind of stands out a little bit for me. What do you think about this?
Well, Yeah, and I mean, as somebody who, like, I had a semi-contentious relationship with my dad, and, like, my dad had a heart attack and shit, but I was never, like, man, and don't get me wrong, my dad never treated me like Ram treats, her name's Stephanie, right?
Stephanie, yeah.
Stephanie, right. But at the same time, it was like, man, that's coming off like it's hate. You hate to be like, that's coming off a bit harsh because you didn't really have her childhood, but I feel like for her reaction to be this nuclear, it has to be like, man, he was either abusive due to steroids when he was younger and she was younger. Like there needs to be a little bit something more there. An absent father is still an absent father. But yeah, there are some moments where it's like, man, it does feel like she's going like she's going to the button way too quick. She's hitting nuclear way too fast. Not even so much in her performance.
And I don't need everything answered.
It's the script.
I need to make that clear. Like, I don't need every single thing on the planet answered. I like ambiguity, but it's just like I feel like I need a little bit more here because I don't think absentee father. I mean, it's terrible. It's bad, but he could have done so much worse, and it feels like from this reaction that it was a lot worse. And
it's hard to put. It's hard to put value on somebody else's trauma, whether fiction or nonfiction, but it is still like, man, I don't know where the mom is. Obviously, she doesn't have shit to do with her daughter, or the mom is dead. They don't ever say, this is probably your last living parent. Like, if they're showing up to make amends, I know it's 20 years. Excuse me. I know it's probably 20 years too late, but at the same time, if I hadn't seen my dad in 20 years and he's like, hey, I had a heart attack, it's not looking good. I'd be like, I would rather bite the bullet and kind of stomach, these last 5 years and I tell people that all the time. I'm like, dude, I understand you're estranged from a parent. You have a bad relationship. Get over it, because whenever you be the bigger person, even if you're a third of their age, because when that moment happens and you're like, fuck, I probably should have done something, and you will fucking regret that. And it's like, that is, trust me. And I feel like after this movie is over and, he's dead. Come on, he's fucking dead. She is sitting there like, fuck, I really, fucking shit. Like, fuck, I really, I think she is full of regret, and anger because he put her in a position to where she reacted like that. You can't blame her for it. But at the end of the day, I feel like there is still a lot of regret after that moment happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% on the money there. She freaks out when he tells her about the heart attack. She thinks he's being disingenuous, wants her to take care of him. And he abandoned her more than a few times. And this is interesting to me because these are the regrets in life that he needs to live with, right? Like it's kind of like you've done this in the past and now you're trying to make amends for it here at the end of your life, and it's just not going to go your way. Like, and like that is really heartbreaking to me.
The worst part about this is her being like, you want someone to take care of you. And he's like, no, I just want somebody, and it's like,
I just want to hang out.
Do I really believe he wants her to take care? He wants he wants her to take care of him. No, not one bit. It might be on the back burner, but that's not front and center. What his intentions are.
I think it's literally, hey, what are you doing today? Want to go get some fucking Chipotle wings? Like, like that's literally
right.
It's just companionship, or like just friendship, or just something.
Right.
Yeah. And, just being able to talk to someone while they have their clothes on, like it's just, yeah.
Right.
All right, man. That's about halfway. What do you reckon about taking a break right here?
Let's do it.
Guys, we'll be right back with more of The Wrestler. We will see you soon.
Hey guys, what's going on? Colin jumping in here in the middle. Just kind of let you know some stuff that's going on at Midnight Double Feature. First off, please stop by and rate and review us on iTunes. Let us know how we're doing. It helps out so much. It takes 5 seconds and it's free. So there you go. We would really, really appreciate it. Also, you can find us on our socials. We're on Facebook at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature. We're on Twitter at MDF Pod. Please also join the group that we have attached to our Facebook page. It's called the After Party. Everybody's invited. That group has been really expanding, and we're really really excited to see where it's going. We can also find our website, midnightdoublefeature.com. We got our merch there. If you want to know something, you want to find us on our socials, you want to see what all's going on, that's kind of like our main hub. That's really where to find it if you want it. We also have a podcast for Breaking Bad that we have going on. It's called Bad Crystal. It's an interesting show where I actually haven't seen any of the episodes of Breaking Bad. Zoheb has seen it like 15 times, and he's kind of leading me through it. I'm experiencing it for the first time with a veteran, and it's an interesting dynamic, and it's a lot of fun. And lastly, if you really, really, really want to support the show and really put all your cards on the table, we do have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/midnightdoublefeature. It's $5 a month. There's only one tier. You get all access to everything that we've got going on. We've got bonus episodes. We've got off the rails kind of stuff. We've got a lot of stuff that's not going to make it to the main page, and there's a lot more geared for Patreon kind of stuff. So we really hope to see you guys over there. Like I said, plans start at $5 a month and end at $5 a month. That's the only one that we've got going on. We really, really hope that you guys can join up there, and we will hope to see you soon. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are freshly squeezed, diving right back into the wrestler. Bonesaw is ready.
I saw this video today, and it's like when your Tinder date finally lets you smash, and he's like, "You're going nowhere. I've got you for 3 minutes."
He does that. He does the 3 like that.
3.
Yeah.
That's Macho Man Randy Savage too. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, I paid you $3,000 for 3 minutes, and you pinned him in 2.
You let that guy get away with my money. That guy is so comically absurd.
Thanks. When
he's like sweating.
Yeah.
He sweats when he jacks off. Like, calm down, dude.
What does Bruce Campbell's announcer call him again in Spider-Man? Like, it's not Spider-Boy.
He calls him Spider-Man.
The Spider or something. No.
At first,
the Spider. Yeah.
He wants to be called the Human Spider. And he's like, that sucks.
Right.
And he's like, oh, the Amazing Spider-Man.
Love it. All right, let's get back into this. So Randy goes back to the gym where he tells the promoter that he's good to go. He's set something up with the Ayatollah fight. And man, I love like Rourke's performance here, like in scenes like this, where it's just like, gonna be something. Like, it's just like,
right.
It's like if because like he looks at the promo bill here, right? Like Randy the Ram versus the Ayatollah, and like I wonder if it's like if he's thinking, man, I wonder if this is gonna be where I die. Like like if you knew where you were going to die and you had to choose where you were going to die and where your last moment was on Earth. Like I wonder if it's kind of like that. Like like if it's like this is probably gonna be too much for me. Like I know it's a bit of a long shot. But like just kind of like knowing where you're going to die is fucking wild to me.
I think the guy he's talking to, he's somewhere in this movie, but I can't find him. It's Judah Friedlander from 30 Rock. And I'm pretty sure that's him. The guy with the glasses who always has trucker hats on 30 Rock. I'm pretty sure this is him. Yeah. The guy he walks into, he's got the jersey on.
Oh, okay.
But that guy's huge. Like he's in oh God, with Jared Leto about the movie the guy who shot John Lennon. I'm sorry, Mark David Chapman, I think I can't remember the guy's name, but he's in that. He's in 30 Rock. He's in a bunch of shit. He is fucking hilarious. And so I didn't realize he was even in this movie until I saw a Google cast, and I was like, oh fuck, it's like Judah Friedlander's in this. Like he's hilarious, man.
Pretty awesome. Dude, did you notice how he's got a fanny pack? I mean, like I just lost all respect for him. Like Jesus Christ. But this is
the 80s, man. What are you gonna do?
I know. This is probably one of the first scenes that I kind of really started feeling the movie, pull at my heartstrings. Like he sits down and just like surveys the room, right? Looks around at the other wrestlers. Everyone has injuries. This one dude has a piss bag attached to his ankle, dude. Like this is super haunting stuff, right? It tells us that this is not a profession meant for people who want to live long and healthy lives,
Right. Well, also, like, look where you are. Like, there's nothing wrong with selling merch, man. Like, that's cool. But I can equate this to when we went to the Louisville SuperCon, and I don't want to say who. I don't want to, make anybody feel bad, but there was a certain movie that came out. It was a one-hit wonder, and the people in it were pretty much one-hit wonders. And there they were, and nobody was at their table. I mean, nobody. And it's a movie that I absolutely adore. And I just saw them and I was like, that sucks, man. And this place was packed, dude. Chris Sarandon, Carrie Elways, Dave Bautista, John Cusack, William Shatner. And it's like, nobody's at your fucking table. And Louisville SuperCon's pretty big, but this is just like, fuck, this is sad, man. This is like, there's something about this of just like down at the American Legion signing autographs. It's like, I'm sure he likes his fans, but there's also something about that of just like in this room full of like overweight, old, injured guys and like the cheap plywood of it all, the linoleum, the fluorescent lighting. And it's
very
like,
rustic.
Oh, it's just,
yeah.
Yeah, it feels like they're almost in a fucking like hospital. This feels like he's in a hospital. It's gross. I hate it. I fucking hate it, man.
It feels like we watched Breaking Bad, so like it feels like when Walt is kind of like sitting down on the couch on those couches, like getting the fucking with the IV drip, getting the chemo pumped into him. Like it feels just like a vegetative state, like it's
right.
fucking crazy.
This is not a room full of hopeful young people. You know, it's like it's scary.
Right. At the strip club, we see Cassidy attempt to get a few customers to buy into a lap dance, but she's not very successful. And again, very much like Randy, her own age and mortality is keeping her from doing what she's good at and what she needs, right? Like she needs this to survive. She literally needs the income from this job to live and raise a son. And she's got prospects, right? Like she wants to move away. She's building a house, or she's having a house built or something. Like there's
something like, yeah, she's
right.
I can't remember, but there's also something about the fact that not only do people not voluntarily ask for you when you offer it, people still don't want it. That is, which is insane. I would fucking. Oh, I've never eaten an ass before, but I'm just saying.
It's a tough hurdle. Oh, I did last night actually. That's actually not a lie.
Oh, that's great.
Woo! Eating ass.
I had a guy once at a job I worked at. He goes, "Hey man, it's 2020. Everybody eats ass." I was like, no, the fuck they don't. I was like, there's no way. Maybe fresh out the shower with like some baby wipes, but nah, get out of
here. Oh man, but yeah, no, like that is. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Like the fact that she is offering and no one is saying yes. Like you have nothing else to give but your body. Like, that is insane to me.
Mm.
Randy tells her that he went to go see his daughter, but she ripped him a new asshole. He doesn't know anything about his daughter, declines a dance because he doesn't think he's quite ready for that. And dude, like my note here is just like, you know what? I'd fucking risk it. If I'm getting a dance from Marissa Tomei, I'd risk it, dude. I don't care if my heart fucking explodes. I'm good.
She looks blows out through his dick.
Yeah. She looks around at her usual clientele before changing her mind and going back to Randy, offering her help to get some clothes for his daughter. What did you think about this?
I don't like this. I don't like this.
This is something, and not, wait, just to be specific, not her, like, not them kind of like going clothes shopping, but her turning around after looking at the clients and then going back to Randy. I had a really tough time coming to a conclusion about this, and I don't know if I still do have a conclusion. What are your thoughts about this? I want to get yours first.
This feels like I better have a backup plan. This is what that, but it's so conflicting though, because she offers to go out with him, but then she, it never goes anywhere beyond them going clothes shopping and stuff. They kiss and blah, blah, but that's really about it. So I'm like, what is her going back? Is her going back, just to say, fuck it? Like, I'm kind of torn because at one part of my mind, I'm saying, oh, so now once you realize there's nobody out here really wanting you, you'll go for the one guy in here who really actually does want you. That's one way to read it. But I honestly would say that might be a little bit of a surface level viewing. I think also part of it might be I actually genuinely have feelings for this person that I won't let myself feel because of these fucking people. And it's like, no, fuck you. I'll go right up there and tell you I'll meet you tomorrow, And I think already she's kind of like breaking that golden rule of hers. So the first time around, I really, really fucking did not like. I still don't like this. I think it's a little sloppy the way that this scene is done, because she walks over, looks around, and is like, all right, now I'm back. And it's like, I don't know. I don't like the leaving, going, looking, leaving, coming back. It's kind of stupid. But there is something I like about it in the sense of it. My first read on it was, well, I better have a backup plan. And it's like, no, I think that's just a really two-dimensional way of looking at it. I think it's more of her looking at it going, you know, this is somebody who she obviously likes the guy. She obviously does, but she's actually allowing herself to kind of see, let somebody backstage, kind of let somebody
conflicted.
Right. Yeah, she's definitely conflicted. And I think that it almost might be a thing of in the face of rejection, in the face of getting older, you have somebody who actually is the same age as you.
That was my conclusion. So I was like, she's been told so many times no tonight that this one guy who actually comes up and offers himself to her is what she's been kind of needing to get out of this kind of nosedive that she's in tonight. That's my kind of read on it. It was very tough to get to that conclusion though, because like you said, it feels, some of this feels a little sinister. Like, if you don't, shitty. Yeah, if you don't get to know the character through other scenes, then this feels a little sinister in terms of she's kind of using Randy as a crutch, just to kind of make herself feel better. Right, exactly. And I don't know if it's that hostile or that sinister or that shitty, but in this scene, if you were to take this scene out and isolate it does a little bit. It comes across that way a little bit. But
yeah. That's I think it comes across that on a surface level viewing. But if there had been just a little bit of something of her, even if her son was she gives her that toy to her son, and he's like, this guy, can I meet him? And she's like, no, and she doesn't want him to actually meet him because that's one step closer to this person becoming a part of our lives. And if there's a fear of intimacy or there's a fear of something you won't let yourself do, and you realize it's because of this fucking place, well, that's a little bit different, but it doesn't read that way the first time you watch. It took me a little bit of time sitting on it to come to that conclusion. And that might not be the way it's meant to come across even.
No, absolutely. And I think her ultimately leaving that job to go to Randy at the end of the movie really helps this scene out. Really kind of indicates that it's oh, okay, maybe it's not fucking sinister. Maybe there is a lot more here.
Right. Backs it up.
Right, exactly. So, dude, his manager is just straight up watching porn in the office. This is... What? This is so, out there and random for me. I'm just okay, cool. I mean,
he's like, hey, I know that chick. Her name's Cassidy. It's oh, wait, hold on. the thing that I don't...
about your, store and history and cookies,
right?
And,
right. Are you not? And also, he's just watching it. That's insane.
Yeah.
Who just watches it?
Insane. Who just watches porn and doesn't crank down? Because that is some serial killer level shit, right?
Right. Yeah. No. That's what. Sitting there and just watching pornography isn't and I don't want to knock anybody. I'm sure there's been times where people have watched pornography. There are varying degrees of value in pornography. I'm not going to sit there and be
maybe he likes the plot, right? Maybe he's going to plumbing school and he's getting tips from Johnny Sins, right?
Right, yeah. He's all right, so how do I show up and act like I'm there to clean the pipes, but then I fucking clean the pipes? But no, yeah, there is something kind of there's something just kind of strange about that, where it's there's a reason why you watch this. And it's usually not just leisurely, kind of thing. And it would be like watching the election results and just masturbating the whole time. You've got this totally flip-flopped. What the fuck? But yeah, the hilarious part is he gives him, and I don't want to jump ahead. I don't want to try and,
please.
When he's sitting there and he was hey, yeah, I can work weekends. He's oh, isn't that when you sit on other guys' faces? And he's you were just watching some fucking college dropout get finger blasted. What the fuck? Are you giving me shit? Are you kidding me? Oh man, I love what he does. I love what he does to this guy at the end though. But yeah, there's something really and it's kind of weird, man. My mom worked at a public library for a long time. They had computer banks, and she's you would be surprised how many people actually show up to it and just watch it. And they're not sitting there jacking off in the middle of the library, but they're just sitting there watching it. And I'm like, why?
Maybe it's a thrill. Maybe it's a thrill because you're in a public space, right? Like, I mean, like with this guy, it's I'm at work, I'm doing something wrong. I'm doing something I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. Like, you know, like maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Well,
here.
you know what? Be like the rest of us. Go grab your guy or gal or whoever and go bang them in the back of a monster tribute in a Walmart parking lot. That's all I'm saying. You know, show up jacking off at work, getting paid to jack off. That's taking advantage of the system. That's what I say.
Actually, that's not too bad. Getting paid to jack off. That's kind of the American dream, though.
Yeah, exactly.
He agrees to take the deli job, right? Parade of hot, horny housewives begging for your meat. Okay, what is wrong?
What's wrong with this guy, dude? It just looks down. He's got he's like, God, I just want to fuck you, Ram. And he's like, oh, get away from me.
It's like he's just turned 14 and is going through puberty. Like, you know, all he can think about is like sex, like all of it. Like all of his dialogue, like not all of his dialogue, but like it's just so like really cranked up to 11, like the sexual explicitivity, whatever. And I'm just like, man, like what are you? Like, are you a boy? Are you a young boy?
There's no way this guy just didn't go through like a really, really bad divorce, and his wife took the kids because he was doing something fucking crazy, you know. Right. Or whatever. This guy, I mean, let's be honest. It looks like he watches child pornography. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This guy looks like he watches child pornography.
100%.
And yeah. Right. So his wife took the kids. She's gone to her sisters in, you know, Orlando or something. He's stuck here, you know, at the house. She might have left the dog, you know, but he's basically, you know, the only person that would fuck him in the last 20 years is gone. And he thinks by going out there and just doing it all the time, that, you know, that basically, if I water the flowers too much every day, I'll eventually get some kind. And it's like, no, sweetie, it doesn't work that way. It's all about balance.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out. Okay, so I'm trying to find out what the movements of the East Area Rapist were, and trying to see if maybe this guy if this guy was missing, because
honestly, you the Zodiac.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, like, this guy fits the bill. I mean, like, and I know Joseph James D'Angelo was I'm making a joke here, right? Like, he was the East Area Rapist, but it's like, that is, like, what that guy was doing, the East Area Rapist. He was walking around, like, to random houses, and, you know, he'd show up at, like at the doors of like people's like places while they were sleeping, and you know, he'd have a knife and knock on the fucking tap on the windows, and he'd not wearing anything underneath. Like, he had a tiny penis, and like that's not even like a joke. Like, that's a detail across all witnesses. He had a tiny penis, but it's just like that is literally what I imagine this guy ends up doing. Like, you know, it's crazy.
Right. No, yeah, this guy definitely volunteers to have like sleepovers at his house when he had kids. You're like, okay, dude, you just need to back up. One of the dads called him on it. It was like, this is really inappropriate. You know, what's this guy's name?
I don't know.
The boss's name? Oh, fuck it, whatever his name is.
I don't know. Probably Phil. Let's call him Phil.
I would say it's got to be a 4-letter weird, like Phil or like Doug or
yeah.
Sven, like SV Sven, something crazy, something weird.
That, or it's like a three word name, right? Like Joseph James D'Angelo, like, you know, like something like that. Yeah. Pam, aka Cassidy, and Randy go shopping. I like this, you know. She's like call me. You can call me Pam. Like, you know, like again, like the lowering of the defenses. Randy's got terrible taste in clothing. Like, it's just awful.
Oh God, so tacky.
He thinks that his daughter is a lesbian. Not in my middle America, god damn it. We will not have that around these parts.
I love the fact that he's like, well, I think she's a lesbian. Does that matter? He's like, no. And that's all that's really brought up, you know?
That's all that's needed. I love that. I love that.
He's probably a little old school, you know? And he's like, well, you know, whatever. Yeah. At this point, I really, you know, what's it going to matter if I say anything at this point?
Right, exactly. It's not going to make any difference, but probably inflame it further. He asks her for a beer. She's hesitant, and she says that she has a kid. I love the way she mentions it, because Randy doesn't bring any of this up. It's just kind of like, are you sure about this? I have a kid. Like, it's a you should know about this. You should, like, before asking me out, because I feel like it's going to put you off. And it's just such a
Sure.
it's kind of like an adorable, like, defense mechanism. Like, like, it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm insecure about this, like, kind of thing. But also, just be prepared. I dig it. It's a nice touch.
Well, yeah, and it's also like, well, you should probably tell somebody that before you actually go on a date or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had a girl once I asked on a date, and she did have a kid a couple years old, and ultimately the date never really materialized. But we were both interested. I remember going like, hey, do you want to go out into a dinner sometime? And she was like, and she was kind of like stunned. She was like, I have a kid, right? And I was like, yeah. And she was so surprised that I was asking her. I was like, it's not gonna bother me if you have a kid. I was like, it's because I guess she just so shocked that I was, even like, knowing that if the dates went on, maybe something I end up being this kid's stepdad or something, like whatever. But just so shocked, and I was like, that shows you the plethora of douchebags you've had to deal with, of guys who were like, oh, I mean, I'll fuck you, but like, I mean, I'm not looking for anything long term.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like the kid is something that weighs you down. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. They're having a beer. She's thinking about moving. Tomei is great here, as she's too shy to dance in the middle of this bar in broad daylight. Also, by the way, the 90s fucking ruled, okay? Fuck you. The 90s were fucking great. All right?
Yeah, if you were successful in the 70s or 80s, maybe not. Maybe the 90s weren't great for you. But yeah, that's also when people started like using the internet, ordering stuff online, like, and a lot of stuff from the 80s was not cool anymore. 80s music, windbreakers, like mullets. And it's like, God, that's fucking gross, dude. And then when the 90s came around, it definitely burst that bubble, like big time.
Absolutely. So they're actually singing and dancing to this song called "Round and Round" by Rat.
Round and round, our love will find a way. Just give it time.
Did you catch when they stop singing?
I think I read that right before that line or something.
The next line before they like just before they stop singing, the next line would have been, "Our love will find a way. Just give it time."
Right.
Oh, that is
a Rat.
Fucking awesome, dude.
I think, well, no, I was going to say, I thought Rat did his intro music, the bomb, 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 bomb,
Guns N'
Quiet
Roses.
Riot. No, that's Quiet Riot.
Wait, Guns N' Roses. Yeah, sorry. My bad.
No, his intro music is that, I'm like a laser, six-stream eraser. And like that song, I think it's like Mental Health Will Drive You Mad or something. It's a fucking badass song. It's really good. But Quiet Riot, they
wrote a song for them.
I think he wrote the outro music or something.
Yeah.
But Quiet Riot's a badass band. Rat were a badass band. They actually do have a good plethora of like 80s rock music in this that I actually I'm not embarrassed to say that I like. I dig it.
No, I mean, like, well, look, out of the two of us, fucking music is your thing, right? I mean, like, I'm just
right.
I like whatever, but yeah. They hook up. Cassidy is embarrassed and makes a quick exit, but not before she sucks down an entire beer. And I'm just like, fucking marry me? Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Love that. He gets the name badge. Again, his fucking boss is a douche. He doesn't look like a Robin.
No.
Apparently
there's something there's something really interesting about here, though. Like, I don't think his name really is Robin, right? It's Randy or Randall or whatever.
I thought it was Randall. Isn't he credited as Randall?
They call him Mr. Ramazinski, and it's like, okay, so his name is probably Randall Ramazinski or something like that, and he goes by Ram. But what I thought was interesting is he says, oh, there's some kind of mix up on like your W-4 or whatever, like your W-2, which is like a tax form. He's like, okay, you fucked up. Something went wrong. They fucked up your name. I was like, I guess it's not intentional. So what I was wondering is like, is this a subtle thing to be like, this is the person you are becoming? You're not Randy anymore. Like, you're kind of becoming this Robin. Like, you're kind of becoming something that you were not. Like, and it may be looking a little bit too far into it, but the loss of identity is kind of wrapped up in that a little bit. I feel like the fact that I'm fucking Randy.
Absolutely. Or like when you like filled out your W-2 in the first place, you considered yourself to be Robin. And then you took on this kind of like mantle as Randy. And you're slowly coming back around to that. Yeah, no, totally, for sure. And like, like he is constantly correcting his name. like throughout the movie, right? Like it's just kind of like that. You're rejecting your own kind of like identity, like you're constantly saying, "Ah, man, it's actually Randy." Like like is
Right.
I love that. It's good. It's good stuff. I love the tracking shot as we follow him to the deli and the sound mix in the background, dude, as the fans cheering. Even just like as he stands before like heading out, he just hesitates, dude. Fucking awesome. I think, yeah, like this is kind of like how he makes it bearable in his mind, like what he's doing. It's good stuff, man.
I did this. I worked in meat departments for a long time. I never worked in a deli. I worked in meat departments for probably 5 or 6 years. I loved it. It was a great job. You got to work behind the counter. I'd put headphones in, clean up shop every night, and go home. But yeah, there is something.
That's how you know that your way around a big sausage, right?
Yeah, dude. I heard you can't beat our prices, but you can beat our meat.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot, God, there's so many fucking like meat jokes and stuff. Especially in the South, all the meat department guys are just a bunch of horny, drunk rednecks like all the time. But it was actually kind of a cool job because you learned a lot about like meat, and you're like, man, how many people actually eat meat? You learn so much about chicken, especially cutting steaks, cutting pork chops and stuff. There's actually a really good steak that I learned. It's called a chuck eye steak, and it's different from a ribeye. Like if you're cutting on a loin, once you get farther down the loin, the steaks stop getting as nice.
Yeah.
But they're still pretty good, and they would cut them off and call them chuck eyes. Ribeyes are like $10 to $12 a pound in the U.S. just for, just a pound.
Oh,
so if you get 2-pound ribeyes, you're looking at $20-$25. A chuck eye steak is like $4.50 to $5 a pound. It was the same steak, just a little bit smaller. And I was like, dude, I used to I'd walk into a meat farm and be like, hey, you got any chuck eye steaks? And they'd be like, how do you know about that? I'm like, yeah, I worked in like a lot of meat farm, like Publix and Food Line and stuff. But it's a great job. If anybody's ever looking for like, man, I want a good solid career that's never going to go out of business, be a meat cutter, dude. Yeah. It's never going away. Those people make fucking bank.
It's like a secret society. How do you know about Chuck Eye? I'm in the club. I'm in the crew.
Right, yeah. Six Emperor Tyrannus, and they let me in the back door.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I'm starving. I could go for a nice fucking Wagyu right now. Like, Jesus Christ, man. My favorite cut.
I could eat a steak. Wait, what kind? Sure. What kind? What do you say?
Wagyu.
I don't know what that Wagyu. Wagyu. Wagyu.
Wagyu. I think it's Australian, actually.
I was going to say, I fucking never heard, like, we got like T-bones, porterhouses, strip steaks, sirloins.
Let me look this up. Because I'm on
I'm interested. Tangent. I'm interested.
I'm on a tangent. What's a Wagyu, right? Japanese. I should have guessed.
Oh.
In several areas of Japan, Wagyu beef is shipped carrying area names. What the fuck? Some examples are Matsusaka beef, Kobe beef, Yonezawa beef, Mishima beef. Okay.
See, we have Kobe beef.
Okay.
We definitely have that. But I just realized as soon as you said it was Japanese, I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, that sounded way too racist. That sounded terrible. And I genuinely mean like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, oh. I was like,
but here we go.
God
so
damn it.
I found it now. So the Australian Wagyu Association is the largest breed association outside Japan, right? So both full-blood and Wagyu cross cattle are farmed in Australia for domestic and overseas markets. Yeah, so
that is interesting as hell.
Yeah. So, yeah, for overseas markets, including Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, UK, France, Germany, and the US. Okay, so there we go. That's why Wagyu is such a big thing here. Okay, makes sense.
And your meat is so much better than ours. Oh, my God. It's ridiculous from what you told me.
I know. It is. It actually is. I'm not even kidding. And I don't want it to be like, oh, yeah, I'm fucking Australian. I'm proud of it. It genuinely is. I've been to the States twice. I've had steak in the US, whatever. It's no comparison, dude. Like it is.
Is it a texture or like a seasoning thing?
Yeah, I think it's because it's a texture thing because oftentimes you find that steak in Australia is mostly grass fed instead of grain fed, and grass fed is a lot better for texture than grain fed.
That's that's very expensive here. Grass fed beef. We sold that at Publix, and it was like outrageous a pound. But although as insanely interesting as this is, we gotta get off the midnight meat train and fucking get back to this goddamn movie.
Fucking even Patrick's falling asleep right now.
Yeah, Patrick's elbow slips off his head. Like, he like wakes up.
Well, dude, let's get to probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, and that's this scene where he's kind of like working the deli. Like, this is all improvised. There is no, like, this is an actual working deli. These are actual customers. There is no script here. This is Mickey Rourke interacting with actual customers of this store. Customers have no idea that this is this is a movie they're filming. It's amazing because Randy is incredibly likable here, man. Like, he's just as he goes through these customers, he's giving his own personal touch to each encounter rather than just being like a mindless drone. What you having, good looking, fresh as monkey's breath. Like, he's really, really trying to make this work, man. Like, even though none of these assholes say please once. Did you catch that? Like, it's just nothing.
I did not.
Like,
Wow.
For me, it's like, okay, because I worked at Hoyt's, the cinema, for such a long time. Even before that, I worked at a fast food restaurant, which was my first job. And like, I think it's just after working in customer service for so long, I kind of like start to read into people's, like you would be able to as well, because you're so good like with customers. You kind of like, you're very good at like picking up people's tones and the way people speak and the way people use words and leave out specific words. Like, you really start to understand the psychology of the way they speak. So, this lady is just like, can I get a pound of chicken? It's not, can I get a pound of chicken, please? Like, it's just like,
Right.
there's still a level of you're not being accepted here, right? Like, you're still not a part of this world, and it's just, no matter how hard you try, no matter how well these encounters go and how well you try and make yourself, personable, you are still a part of the machine here, It's,
and the big thing is like, everybody has great days at work where they're like, this isn't so bad. And then that one bad day comes along and they're like, I got to go back to college. I got to do something different, And that's the thing, is like, he's having a really good day and I love seeing him on top. And I love seeing him being able to like something that, like, he's not afraid to go work the deli counter. He's perfectly able. It's like, I'm afraid that I'm going to feel like a failure. And when he does it, he starts getting into it and he's like shadow boxing. He hits the pole and he's like, God damn, how about them Cowboys? And it's like, dude, I love that. But there's also something that as soon as it's kind of a rush, as soon as it's kind of a bad day, he just collapses. And it's like, it's proof that like this guy cannot work like a normal 9 to 5, go in there, work your 40, hang it up when you go home kind of thing. Like, you're just not cut out for that kind of thing. If you fold under the first bad day, you're never going to fucking make it, man. And that's literally like, I mean, and he has a lot of shit riding him at that point, with his daughter and, with Pam and stuff. But there's just something about that where it's like, man, this guy, the first sign of trouble, he just kind of like folded. He can't, it's a character. It's a very decisive character trait of like, I cannot juggle all of this shit. This is why I walked the fuck out on my family, because I couldn't fucking do it, because I can't juggle having a shitty relationship with a woman and my daughter and my job. Like, I can't fucking do it. And the ring is the only thing that makes sense.
Right, absolutely. And some people just aren't meant to fit into the mold. Like, some people aren't built that way. Like, I mean, like, here's an example. And obviously it's a very far out example and it's nothing like Randy, but my brother and I are two very, very different people. Like, I was coming up, I am a first generation Australian. My parents are immigrants. I was expected to go to uni and like get a degree. Like, it was kind of like an expectation, like there was no choice, but like, luckily I always kind of wanted to be a lawyer anyway. So like, it's not like I felt pressured or anything like that. But my brother comes along 3 years later, right? And my parents kind of like, perspective changes a little. It's like, well, my brother did try and apply himself at school, but he was not, he's not the smartest person in the fucking thing.
What
but
an
it's just
asshole.
Like, hey man, I can talk shit about him. He's only sitting like fucking 20 meters away. But it's like,
academically, some people just don't formulate into a classroom setting.
Exactly. And like, and he like, we joke about this all the time now. Like, like my parents tried to get him to apply himself, but he just wasn't able to. Like, some people just don't fit into that mold. And then like, then came the day where my parents realized, oh fuck, you're probably not going to go to uni. Like, like it's just, you're just not going to. Like, and that was fine. Like, like it wasn't like this whole big thing. Like, we all kind of like know that, like, fuck, maybe you're just not built for it. Like, it's fine. And my brother's doing what he loves now, and like he's earning a good income, and like like there are ways
Right.
kind of like around things, and it just kind of like really kind of like breaks my heart to see someone like Randy, like who is a circle trying to fit into a square peg and trying very hard to fit into that square peg, you know?
Right. Yeah. That was my thing. Like, that's why I'm lucky I landed a job that I'm like, you have to be kind of, yeah, you have to apply the gift of gab. You have to have logical kind of like common sense, and you have to stay calm in the face of people getting pissed. And that's three of my biggest, strongest points. But it was like, there's no way. Who goes to college to be a fucking debt collector? Nobody does. So
Yeah.
that's why it ended up working out for me. But I was like, yeah, if I wanted to be a psychologist, and I liked hearing about people's bullshit, which granted I kind of do on a daily basis anyway. I should have just been a psychiatrist. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, there's the people who are just like, I can work my 9 to 5 and I can work up and I can get a good job doing something. Or, I can go to school and I can have a profession and major in something and get a job based on this degree. Or there's Randy. And it's like, Randy does not fit into any of those. Randy is like, I am an entertainer. Like I want to hear these people, I'm bigger than both of these worlds put together. I think that's kind of what he feels like. I'm meant for something bigger and better than both of those worlds, which he's kind of right,
Yeah. He calls his promoter, starts canceling appearances. He's retiring. It's not an accident that he's doing this right after the deli gig, right? Like he's found a safe way to make a living that won't kill him. He gives his daughter the clothes, again, really trying his best here. And after some coaxing, he finally convinces her to go to their favorite place, that's this boardwalk. He expresses his life regrets. He was the one who was supposed to take care of everybody, and he doesn't want her to hate him. And man, like Rourke's really going for the Oscar here, right? Like Rourke is brilliant here as he tries to talk to his daughter. He finally manages to win her over, and they share a sweet daddy-daughter dance. What do you think about all this? I kind of like summed up like 10, 15 minutes of the movie in one.
No, yeah. I like it a lot. I think that it's a little, his reasonings and his taking responsibility for fucking everything up is good, and I like it. I think it's a little far-fetched to be like, your relationship is this damaged to now you're sharing like a daddy-daughter dance. That's a little bit far-fetched. Right. I think getting her out of the house to come with you is good enough. I think this is a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Seems a bit quick. But if she had something where she was like, you know what, like I can't harbor this grudge anymore, as much as I hate the fact that like you are the Ram, like, but you're also my dad, like I want my dad, like kind of thing. That'd be awesome. I think a lot of people, even with bad relationships with their parents, want some kind of like resolution to that to some degree. So, but having this whole like, let's have the dance that we'll never have at like your wedding. I'm like, okay, dude, this is a bit like, like
it is a bit much, but it kind of leans into, if you don't have this, then what comes later isn't as heartbreaking. Like, if you see how happy they are in this moment, and then like by the time, in 20 minutes or so, when we see Stephanie start literally throwing and pelting things at him, like it's fucking heartbreaking,
Dude, I'm a broken piece of meat and I'm alone and I deserve to be alone is probably one of the best lines of the movie. And it's like, fuck, you are really self-realizing. Like, you get it. You fucking get it.
Yeah. Randy pays a visit to Cassidy at work. She's, of course, playing coy after their last encounter. He gives her a card thanking her for helping mend his relationship with his daughter. And this is Tomei's scene, right? Like, she's fantastic here as, she kind of, like, judges Randy's perception of her, like, thinking that she's just a stripper, but she's actually a mother and a hardworking woman, emphasizes that she doesn't go out with customers. And, like, this is every make-believe conversation I have in strip clubs in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, come on, like, I can change your life. Come on. Maybe I can make things better for you.
Well, yeah, and there's something, but there's also something kind of fucked up about the fact of like, there was a spark and there is something happen, and she's not leading him on. He kind of initiated that, but she kind of reciprocated it, and I get it. But the thing is, it's so wishy-washy. It's the thing of none of these guys are picking me up, so I'm going to go over in here and talk to you. Yeah. But then the next moment it happens, we're not, no, you're a customer. It's like, dude, if you know you're moving, if you know you're quitting this job, it's okay to maybe let those guards down a little bit. You're like, what does it matter anymore? I'm leaving. Like, I can kind of open up to this person a little bit because he's opened up to me. And I think that ultimately he's in the wrong at the end of this conversation, but I think that that's why she's the one to make contact again after this scene when she comes and finds him. And I dig that. I dig that a lot.
No, absolutely. I'm 100% agreeing with you. He goes to a wrestling match, meets with the wrestlers backstage. This is his crowd, right? Like this is his people. These are people he's the most comfortable with and accept and love him. And goes for drinks at this bar. This blonde who's coming on incredibly strong. They go and do blow and fuck in the bathroom. And man, she's definitely a screamer. Like she is loud.
The best part after he, is being a dick to Marissa Tomei, he walks away from the bar. Like, all right, Ram, let's take it outside. He's like, man, I'm good. You want a drink? And he's like, no. I fucking laughed my ass off at that, dude. But yeah, like this like thumbnail Pornhub girl, it's just like, what the fuck? In her bedroom and shit. You're
what
like,
the
what
fuck, dude?
the fuck?
The fireman? Yeah, this is... I mean, like, look, I get this part of the story here. This is self-destruction, right? Like, this is... things aren't going your way, so you're going to do what you've done for the last, I guess, however many years and fuck things up, right? Because this leads to him missing his appointment with his daughter.
The look on his face when he fucking looks down and sees the boots and he's like, oh, God. I laughed audibly. Like, his reaction is amazing.
So good, man. This room looks like hell. Right, just like this, dude. There's even a fireman's helmet on the bedhead. Like,
right,
what?
Dude, it's fireman sheets and pillowcases, and like, and God knows what is the ferret for? That's terrifying.
I love that he just leaves. Like, it's not even like a bye, bitch. Like, he just walks out. It's good stuff.
It's a ferret.
Oh, Jesus. Goes home to bed, wakes up hours later when night has fallen, only to realize he missed the appointment with his daughter. And his escapades are once again ruining his personal life. And it's kind of like they're mutually exclusive, right? Like you can't have one without the other. And it's sad. Like it's kind of heartbreaking, Right.
And like, there's something coming up too, like when he shows up to the door and he, and all hell kind of breaks loose with his daughter.
Yeah, we're here. We can talk about this.
Right. Don't fucking let yourself into that house. That's nuts. Like that is a big bad dick move. That is a bad move. But then also, it's also getting to a point where you're rupturing the lives of people around you. You're kind of causing a fraction between these two women, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, good point.
And there's something that's kind of crazy about the fact that I don't know. This is the weakest part of this movie to me is the fact that they have this daddy-daughter dance. It's this amazing scene, and they kind of feel like they're closing in and coming back together again. And then, I understand he misses the dinner. I understand this is still, he should be back in the shit house again. But you started here in the middle, and you went up 2 or 3 spots, and now you're -5. And I was like, dude, you're all over the fucking place. And it's like, and I can't assign your trauma a value system. I understand that. It's your baggage. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's like him missing one more thing. Is that anything fucking different than what he's done the whole time? And maybe you can argue the fact that you got my hopes up. You made me think that there was something going on here.
I think it's a glimmer of hope kind of thing.
Right. But I also think at the same time, this guy is going through a transition of life. And it's like, you've got to be, I don't know. I don't want to be like, you've got to be a little bit understanding that your dad's a piece of shit. And it's like, but there is kind of a thing of like, you have to understand that like there's something going on with this guy, that it's like, this is not just like, oh, I missed your match because, I was out there fucking wrestling, Owen Hart. It's like, no, there's kind of some crazy shit going on like behind the scene. I think it's weird that they start off just not talking and then they have this great relationship. And then 10 minutes later, that's the last conversation they ever have. It's a bit much. And I feel like if there had been, if she had maybe been at the match at the end and he couldn't see her and he jumps anyways and that's the end of it, that's fucking tragic, but the whole thing of just like, I'll never speak to you again because you missed this dinner, I'm like, it's a bit much, man. And I think that in 2 weeks time, if he were to show back up at that house, she would be, maybe a little bit not as cold, but the
Right.
whole thing of like, I am done. Don't ever come back here. You are nothing to me. I'm like, lady, calm down just a little bit. I think that's a bit much. I think this is a bit, you're starting a relationship back with your father. It's going to be rocky. It's not going to be all sunshines and rainbows the whole way there. It's like, there's going to be moments like this. Granted, probably shouldn't have happened this fast, but I think it's a bit much in my personal opinion.
No, I agree. It does seem a little rushed. Like it seems like we need to cram like the start of this relationship to the peak of this relationship to the valley of this relationship, and like to go through that whole kind of like cycle, you need to kind of like dedicate a bit more time, to these two characters.
Right.
But that being said, I think the movie's what is an hour 47 is like a perfect length. Like, like there's no kind of like scene that I would take out. There's no scene that I would we'd put the scene in maybe, but I 100% agree. It seems like there should have been some more time that passed and some more kind of like bonding moments for this to feel real, and it does feel real. Don't take me wrong. Like, I mean, this is like Mickey Rourke and Evan Rachel Wood are outstanding here. Like they are.
Right.
Fucking great. But yeah, I 100% agree. From a story standpoint, it feels a little rushed, and it doesn't. I'm not sure if I fully buy it as well that she would be this mad after this very short period of time.
Right.
She says there is no more fixing this. It's broke permanently, and I'm okay with that. It's better, right? I mean, like that's the line. That's the nail in the coffin, right?
It needs to be something bigger. It needs to be something like her graduating. It needs to be something like her meeting.
Yes.
It needs to be something big. Like, if it's something big, yeah, you are in the right, man. But like missing a dinner,
But you know what
again,
it is? If it's a dinner, if it's something menial, if it's something small, like then it's kind of like if you can miss something small, then I don't know, like yeah,
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I mean, like, where does it end, kind of thing.
I mean, I hate when people say that. Because it's like, because I missed a dinner, I'm not going to show up to your wedding. Like, get fucked, dude. Like, come on.
I know. But I mean, like, again, I don't know specifically what happened in the past. Like, I think she's kind of, I think she's kind of being like, I'm being careful sort of thing as well, because I can't afford to be broken again,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. We get the scene where he just explodes in the deli, right? Let's talk about this. This is, by the way, fuck this old lady. Like, make up your goddamn mind. Like, she's like, oh,
I really
more,
wanted him to spit in that potato salad. I thought it was going to happen.
How great is it when he just starts eating it? He just starts eating it.
Sorry, I'm watching the slicer scene just popped up. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking shit, dude. God.
Well, I mean, like, there's the build up to that, right? The manager walks in. I hate this, right? The fucking undermining your own staff members in front of customers pisses me off. Like, let's pick things up. What's with the line? Like, fuck off, dude. Like, don't talk to your employees that way in front of customers. Like, just be fucking nice about it. I'm sorry. This guy recognizes him as Randy, right? The line of separation between wrestler and ordinary citizen is starting to blur. You just can't run away from your past. It's good stuff. He cuts his finger deliberately. He is fucking terrifying when he starts screaming and just yelling, and especially when he wipes the blood on his face. Talk to me about this, right?
Well, there's something. I mean, he's terrifying, but as he's marching down the aisle, it feels like it feels kind of like Frankenstein's monster unleashed. Or like almost like Danny DeVito and Batman, like, I am not a man, I am an animal. Right. And he's like tearing the suit off. But there's something about the fact that he's like got all this white on, this redemptive white. He's got the white hairnet. And as he takes off, he's covered in blood. He rips the hairnet off and he's just ramming shit. And it's like, dude, he goes fucking ram down the aisle. And that's what I love is by the end of it, he walks in this day as Randy and he walks out the ram. Like he walks covered in blood, fucking shit up. And I'm like, cool, I dig it. I dig it, man.
Fucking like rejection of like white collar thing. Like I'm not going to be a part of the mold because I can't. I physically can't. Like I can't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
He retakes the Ayatollah fight and he says, I don't care, I just want to fight. Cassidy pays him a visit, apologizes for how she behaved in the club, but she emphasizes that she has a line and that she can't cross it. It's too little too late, though, right? Because Randy's packing up, getting ready to go to Wilmington. So,
I like the fact that he's not just like, he doesn't stop and even give it any pause. The fact that Randy's just like, bye, I'm going, see ya. This is the only thing that makes sense anymore. I'm fucking done, man.
Yeah, there's no like speech or anything like that. Like, you know, like you should have been there for me, blah, blah. It's just, he just takes off and leaves. That's as simple as it is. Fuck, by the way, just as we're recording this, fucking Patrick Harrington posted something in the after party. What's the oldest movie you own? And what I mean by that is, how long ago did you buy it? And then it's like a photo of fucking Red Dawn. Patrick, this is all you're getting. We are only giving you the wrestler. I'm sorry.
I'm literally, Patrick, I'm liking it as I'm saying this. That's the best part. It's just like, I wish we could do some live chat. You know, he'd be in here in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, we can get that organized for the bonus feed, probably.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe.
Randy and Ayatollah. This dude is played by Ernest Miller, who was a real wrestler known as The Cat. By the way, weird name for a wrestler. The Cat?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, I mean, it's a very, very manly, very, very masculine. They work out the fight while Cassidy's mind is elsewhere while she works. She packs up and takes off to the fight. Okay, so I read about this. This is symbolic. Apparently, when a wrestler quits, they leave their boots in the ring. So she left her shoes at the strip club, I think is kind of like... I saw
something like that. I didn't know that. That's interesting. It's like throwing in the towel, I guess, kind of.
Right, exactly. Like raising the white flag. We get the fight, right? Like this is the fight. Like did I miss something? Oh no, wait, hold on. Like we'll talk about the fight in general, but Randy's gonna have a conversation with Cassidy just before the actual fight. So this is shot during the Ring of Honor's double feature in New Jersey, and filming took place over the weekend of 14th, 15th of March 2008, which were pretty stacked shows. This was a real audience, by the way, like this crowd. There is no extras here. And apparently when he's making his big speech here, the audience were booing him and just jeering at him. Darren Aronofsky comes up and just pretty much tells him off. So it's like, hey, this is supposed to be a full-on emotional moment for this character, so shut the fuck up and take this, like, you know. And then
that's awesome.
The crowd understood the importance of the scene, and then they started chanting, "We fucked up, we fucked up."
That's awesome.
But yeah, so apparently the crowd actually got to see an alternate ending to the movie. They actually saw how the movie ends. Obviously we know the movie ends with the Ram jumping off the top rope and then it cuts to black. The live crowd saw Randy hit his Ram Jam finisher and pin the Ayatollah in 3. So there you go.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so Randy prays. He has a feeling, right, that this is the last go around. I wonder if he prays before every fight or just this one. You know, like that'll be really interesting to know.
Yeah, because you don't really see him do that a lot. That is really interesting.
Cassidy meets him just before the fight. He says, "My heart's still ticking. The only place I get hurt is out there. The world don't give a shit about me." Right? I mean, like he knows, and that's the saddest part. He knows, like, you know, he's very well aware that the world doesn't give a shit about him. Like, you know, it's not like a situation where you have a character who is just kind of like pushed into a situation that they don't really realize. He fully realizes that he's not meant to be a part of the world, you know, like this is where he's supposed to be.
Right.
Cassidy responds with, "I'm here. What do you call that?" What do you think about that? Right? Like she retorts with, "I'm here. What do you call that?"
Right. Yeah. I think there is something also about like, this is your last, it's kind of like the first season of Breaking Bad with Elliot being like, "We'll pay for your chemo treatments." It's like, this is your last out. Like this is, you know, if you stay on this bus is going to the station. There's no more stops. This is it. You know, last call. This is the final thing. This is the, you know, and there's something really interesting about the fact that it's like she pulls like a white knight in shining armor. Like she shows up on horseback and is like, "Hey, I'm ready to take you away from all this stuff." And he's just like, No, like nothing makes sense to me anymore. And it's like, that's where I feel like Gary King in that way of Gary King. I don't care if I die completing the Golden Mile. This is the only thing that makes fucking sense anymore. And it's so sad, but there's also so many times in your life when you can kind of relate to that as well, where it's like, I hit points where I'm like, I'm just now turning 30 and I'm hitting the point of like, wait, what's TikTok? Like, what is that? And I'm hitting points where I'm like, shit doesn't really make sense anymore. And like, up is down and facts aren't facts, and just crazy shit that I'm like, it doesn't matter. There's so much stuff where it was like back in the day you could like prove something as like a fact, and it's like, no, there's just not that doesn't exist anymore. There's no guarantees, and and it's a scary world if you're out there kind of on your own, and it's like, fuck, man, like, why don't I just go back doing what I do and just leave it there, leave it all out there on the mat? You can't blame him for what he does. I really don't think you can.
No, you can't. Absolutely. Like, he's been beaten and broken, and this is where he finds himself, and this is his only kind of like respite. It's good stuff. Dude, I'm just gonna say it, his final speech actually kind of broke me, right? I mean, like this whole speech that he delivers here. I'm just gonna read this out. It's a little lengthy, but just stick with me because it's incredibly heartbreaking. And Mickey Rourke just sells it. Fuck you. Fuck you. He says, I just want to say to you all tonight, I'm very, very grateful to be here. A lot of people told me that I'd never wrestle again, and that's all I do. If you live hard and play hard and you burn the candle at both ends, you pay the price for it. In this life, you can lose everything that you love, everything that loves you. Now I don't hear as good as I used to, and I forget stuff. And I ain't as pretty as I used to be. But god damn it, I'm still standing here and I'm the Ram. As time goes by, they say, he's washed up, he's finished, he's a loser, he's all through. You know what? The only one that's going to tell... fuck me, I fucked it up. The only one that's going to tell me when I'm through doing my thing is you people here. You people here. You people here are the only ones who are worth bringing... Fuck, I fucked it up. You people here are the ones who are worth bringing it for because you're my family. I love all of you. Thank you so much. Oh, man.
Guys, now you know why I read the synopsis. I one take all of the synopsises every time I do them. I one take them.
Fuck off, man. We started this episode 15 minutes late because you fucked it up.
Oh, dude. That's got to go in like the after the music fades away and it's just me going, Randy, fuck.
It'll be there. Don't worry, guys. Stick around after the theme music is done for the outro for this because you're going to hear the bloopers. But this is good. Man, this is it, right? This is the speech. This is the movie. This is why he dies here, and he 100% dies. I know it's supposed to be left ambiguous, but come on, he dies.
Right? Yeah. Well, and that's what I've heard. I've heard Aronofsky say that. And that's what it feels like. If he jumps and he lands and he doesn't die, it kind of undermines a lot of stuff. It doesn't.
What the fuck is the movie about then?
Right. Right, thematically, it doesn't wave with a lot of that stuff, and that's what I don't dig is the fact that look, he's like, I moved on with my life, I'm fat and happy, and I run a used car lot. I'm like, everybody around me has moved on with their lives,
right?
And, what's interesting is when he's in that room with all the older guys at the American Legion, they're all a lot older than he is, but not by much. Like, they're not, I guess a lot wouldn't be the right word. They're older than he is, but not by a lot. But there's something interesting about the fact that he is the only one wrestling in that group of men. It looks like he's the only one who's still kind of actively wrestling. And he's getting the fake spray tan. He's dyeing his hair. And what's amazing about the hair dye that I never get is that he never quite gets it all the way dyed. And I'm like, dude, you can see the terrible like roots. And like, how do you pay somebody to look like shit like that? Like that's the phenomenal part. But when he gets up there, dude, and he fucking starts and he slaps those arms and the frame rate of when he jumps, and you're like, dude, it's so sad. And Lindsay and I are watching this. And it goes black, and she's like, oh, that's fucking bullshit. And I was like, he dies. And she's like,
he dies.
Wait, what? She's like, this is not like an Inception thing? And I was like, no, he dies. And it's kind of supposed to be left open to, interpretation, but I really don't. His heart is failing the whole time. The ref's checking on him. Ayatollah's checking on him. Dude, he dies. He dies.
Like there's no, yeah, exactly. There's basically no evidence that he survives. To indicate that he might survive. Like, it's just... It's honestly like balance of probabilities, right? I mean, like if you balance the probabilities, it's more likely that he dies. And it's even just from a thematical standpoint, it's just better if he dies. And like, I know that's fucking sounds sad, but I think that's just the reality of it. And like, I think that's just the entire last hour and 50 minutes of movie that's been set up, you know? So
there is a brilliant line from Bob right before he climbs the turn, whatever those things are, the corner. And he's like, pin me, pin me. We've given them enough.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, that's your whole life. You have given these people enough. And like, they are fighting to remember you. Move on, move to Florida, live on the beach, do something somewhere else, and enjoy the rest of your life. Because, you know, you're like you said, he's burning the candle at both ends. Like, he is obliterating, you know, he could probably live for another 10, 15 years, and he is obliterating it all in one night. But the moment he looks up to that crack and he looks to see if Marissa Tomei's there and she's gone, and you're like, man, that really fucking sucks. And that's the moment when, right before he climbs, and he's like, I'm fucking done. Like, I'm done with it, man. But there's also something interesting about the fact that he is someone who is, the relationship that he wants with his daughter is being cut off from him, but he's also the one cutting off the relationship from Marissa Tomei. So it's not like he's being rejected on both ends. He voluntarily severs one, but also has one forcibly severed from him. I think there's also something interesting about that. The fact that you have something that is being taken away, but you're voluntarily rejecting something at the same time. You have an out, and you choose not to take it. That's very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, that is interesting. Maybe it's because he realizes that Marissa Tomei's character is probably, like, she will probably always see that line between customer and lover. Like, you know, like because before she leaves, like, even though she's here for him right now, here caring about him, before he leaves for Wilmington, she says, "Look, I can't look past that line. Like, you will always be a customer to me. I'm sorry." Like, you know, like, it's just. Mm-hmm. And like, maybe that's it. Like, maybe that's why he decides to sever ties and just.
I ain't buying it.
No?
I ain't buying it. No. I think given, if you watch the kiss, he plants one on her, and then she just like jumps in, and it's like, man, that's the real her in that moment. And that's why I'm like, you know, I think that she, once she walks out and she quits the job, who cares if he's a customer anymore? You know, she has some type of feelings for him, and you know, obviously he wants to have a family, and he wants to have a child, and wants to have some kind of relationship. And the fact that there's not a whole lot of guys lining up to do that for a 40-year-old ex-stripper, you know, and it's like, this guy, he's a nice guy. He's very likable. You know, he stands up for her, and he does a lot of this stuff. But at the same time, when he gets pissed, he's also kind of terrifying, you know. So I think there's something at the end. I think that's why it's there, because he's denied the thing that he wants, but he's also offered something as a substitute of just like, you can start again. You can literally leave a life with a wife and a child and come and be here and be a part of my life with me and a new child and be a part of this, and you're outright rejecting it. And I think that it really comes down to the fact of like, this world doesn't make sense anymore. I get that, and I understand that, you know, the whole thing of like Frankenstein's monster, if I can't inspire love, I will inspire fear, like, kind of thing. It makes sense to me. But that only works if there's not an offer on the table. There's an offer on the table for you to leave this life. And that's where that's where Heisenberg separates from Walter White. That's where, you know, it stops being Randy and it turns into the Ram for me. That's where it's like, you want this. This is how you want this to end.
I just think this is too little too late. Like, you know, I think it's as simple as that. Like, it's just.
That's a good point.
You know, like, the world has thrown so much shit at you, and Marissa Tomei's character had so many, I'm going to say, opportunities to, you know, shack up with him and like run off with him and his kid together, like her kid together, and start a new life. But it's just too little too late. Like, I think that's really it. Like, it's as simple as that. You know, like, there's just no coming back. He's made his mind. He's decided that this wrestling is all I have. The fans are all I have. This is all I'm good at. There is no point living anymore doing something that I'm not good at. And it makes me feel like shit doing something that I'm not good at, as we saw in the deli scene. You know, so like, he's someone who really, really beats himself up when he's really trying hard to do a job like the deli scene. And I don't think he can keep doing that. Like his body physically is breaking down, and you need a body physically to be able to do wrestling. You just do. It's just a fact of life. And yeah, I honestly think it's as simple as that, man. Like if you, it's just too little, too late. It's just, and that's the tragedy of it. That's just the bottom line. Like she just got here. She made her mind up way too late, I think, and that sucks.
Fair enough. It
actually kind of reminds me of Batman. This whole scene, this whole kind of like the Dark Knight Rises, like problematic movie. But the lines that stick out for me are, "You don't owe these people anymore. You've given them everything," and Batman's just like, "Not everything, not yet." That's this whole scene here. But yeah, man, I really dig, the Ayatollah. Yeah, just being like, "Hey, dude, are you okay?" Even just like asking him to pin him. A lot of this is actually Mickey Rourke, right? Like when he gets the Ayatollah's head between his legs when he's on the rope. She looks up to see Cassidy, but she's gone, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. No.
He looks up
right
at the
before
curtains,
he climbs the
curtains.
ropes.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that I think is super important, because that is kind of when he goes up to do the Ram Jam, right? Like that is an important factor. Like his ticker's dying out, and it's just like, well, I'm gonna look up and see if my saving grace is there. Literally, my angel looking down at me, and she's not there. And he does one final Ranjan, and he's gone. Cut to black.
Bum bum bum.
I am exhausted, dude. This is such a good fucking movie.
Here's a song by Springsteen called "The Wrestler."
Yeah,
I don't love it.
You don't love it, dude? I was like. Because it cuts to black, and the cut, like, it holds on black for so long, like probably 15 seconds. And I'm just like, is there anything else? And then the credits come up, and I was like, oh shit, okay, cool.
Alrighty, here we go.
Yeah. Man, I absolutely love this movie. Before we do give our final thoughts, I mean, we got to read Patrick's email, because he fucking emailed us. So,
oh, wow. That's why I couldn't find it. I was like, wow, man, Patrick didn't comment. That's weird.
Yeah, look, let me read this. It is lengthy, so grab yourself a drink and sit back and relax. Patrick says, "Oh, happy day. Man, I don't even know where to start with this movie. I've been watching wrestling since 1998. There was a dip from watching while I was in college and post-college, but it's always been a part of my life. I'm also a major Aronofsky fan." And he says, in parentheses, "We did Pi on our show not that long ago. Go check it out. Married People Watch Movies." So this movie was a match made in the squared circle. It's funny that he said that, and I said that in the podcast. I didn't see it in the movie theater, as I was a poor college kid at the time, but I did scrape together some money for that DVD. Having seen wrestlers hit rock bottom or die young, this hits me hard. Mickey Rourke hits it out of the park with his performance of a guy who used to be the top of the card and just fell off a cliff. The emotions he puts on the screen when he's trying to mend fences with his daughter, when he's trying to have a connection with Cassidy, his promo at the end of the movie to the ROH crowd, goddamn, it gets you misty. As a fan, you can just see some of the guys you used to watching his performance. I'm sure a lot of them had issues like this. Just look at documentaries on Jake the Snake Roberts or the Iron Sheik. They had some fucked up personal lives outside of wrestling. What's really interesting, looking at it with a 2020 lens, is that a guy like Randy could have had a second life with YouTube and social media had he just stayed alive. Parentheses, come on, he does at the end in the ring.
Yeah.
In the ring, the way he'd want to go out. There are companies that run almost exclusively through YouTube, like NWA, parentheses, National Wrestling Alliance, owned by fucking Billy Corgan? Who's that?
Billy Corgan's a big, he's from Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, okay, right. I was like,
he's a big wrestling fan.
Also, NWA is not the first thing I think of when...
Hell no. Yeah. It's the Neighborhood Watch Alliance from Hot Fuzz. Come on.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
Yeah. Community service liaison with the Neighborhood Watch Alliance.
The living statue. Oh, man. He goes on to say, certain wrestlers also have their own YouTube channels, and social media is huge. The Iron Sheik pretty much found a second life during Twitter. Then there is the convention circuit and the website Pro Wrestling Tees. You think guys who grew up on that or started watching his old matches wouldn't fork over $20 to $25 for a Randy the Ram shirt? Come on, he'd be fucking racking the money on that site. Conventions are also so much different now than they were back then. You see Randy and these other chodes peddling, peddling VHS tapes in high school gym in the movie, whereas today they'd be booked at a Vegas casino to go along with a major pay-per-view run by WWE or AEW. That is interesting, actually. A point like that point, in terms of like, yeah, but I wonder if it's no, actually.
I was going to say lack of management.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I wonder if it's a lack of breaking out, because I guess to get into the WWE, you kind of like need to be a little, I don't know, like you need prestige or like you need some kind of like following. But Randy has that, right? Like he's got that.
I think it's man. Yeah. I think he needs some kind of end for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick finishes by saying, I'm pretty excited to hear you guys talk about this. If all the shit I've sent and posted today didn't make that obvious, this is an episode of my show I want another shout out because I did it just solo when Bob was sick one week. I made George Lucas special edition that shit. That'll be all for now. Big emphasis on the quote "for now" part of that sentence. Hope everyone on the MDF side is doing well and staying safe in these very fun and exciting times. Definitely sarcasm there, he says. I'm gonna go powerbomb my kids now.
That's great. Just put a bunch of mattresses at the bottom of the steps and just take them all the way down. You're going nowhere.
I'm gonna kill you, Landon.
Wrestling with kids, you just lay a bunch of Legos on the floor and just power slam.
Right.
That's like a kid's death match.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And look, like I said, you definitely inspired us to watch this movie, and I am glad that we did because this movie was a fucking blast. We did get a few other comments as well. Rick Gentuza says, or how I like to call it, what Aunt May was doing as a side job. Carlos Freitas, Carlos pretty much kind of like pointed out that before either script had funding, this movie and Black Swan were one movie. Yep, definitely agreed. And Tommy Lombardozzi. Tommy's checking in with us after so long. He created our original logo, our original art. Mm-hmm. He says, great movie. Mickey should have won the stupid Oscar. Plus Marissa Tomei and the Love Heart. Fucking Love Heart eyes. Yeah, man. I think this movie is actually a fucking all-timer, man. I bought this movie. I could have rented it, but I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to pay the $12 and just buy this movie because I have a feeling I'm going to like it. And lo and behold, I fucking loved it, man. Mickey Rourke is absolutely incredible in this movie. I'm not the biggest kind of like Mickey Rourke, I guess, aficionado. I haven't seen everything he's done, but I can probably tell you that this is probably a career-defining performance. You know, like this is probably that. Like this is that one role that an actor gets that it's just like, I'm going to fucking swing for the fences and hope that I knock it out of the park. And man, he fucking knock it out of the park. Marissa Tomei is absolutely fantastic in supporting role. Darren Aronofsky's directing, and just to not show and like keep a lot of things subtle that we brought up during the podcast was really fantastic. That I really, really enjoy watching. Was really, really fantastic, and it was interesting to actually talk wrestling. You know, like this is a sport or I guess like an entertainment field that doesn't really come up on the podcast a lot. Mainly because you and I aren't that big fans of it, but it's really it was really interesting to kind of like get to talk about things like blading and things like how like these guys probably end up like mostly washed up and this is all that they can do. It's really fascinating. I'm glad we covered this movie.
Hell yeah, dude, me too. I'm calling that your final thoughts. You're cut off. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, really, what have I, what can be said that I haven't said in the last 2-3 hours? I really like this movie. It's a great movie about self-destruction, about obsession, about trying to find a second, the thing is he constantly spits in the face of like new opportunities, but he's always trying to flourish out or re-spark stuff that happened a long time ago. And it doesn't really seem like he's prepared to just kind of take the next step and just move on with his life. And his inability to do that or his refusal to do that. Not that he can't, he just kind of implodes and just can't do it. His refusal to do that is ultimately what his downfall is, and such a tragic character. And there's something fantastic about that. I've heard a lot of people say, and I haven't seen a lot of Aronofsky's stuff. I've heard a lot of people say his Obsession is kind of his game with a lot of his films.
Black Swan, 100%.
Right, yeah. So I think there's something interesting about that. I think that fits the bill perfectly. But there's something there in his character that goes, it's not quite obsession to me. It's more of just like, this is where I feel like I belong. This is where I feel like I made an impact and where I actually have some kind of authority, where I actually feel like I have some kind of say, where people still listen to me, where people still care about me and want to know. So I can understand and I empathize with his character a lot, like why he gets sucked into that world. I think that, I mean, again, this is like the Rocky of wrestling movies. I would say it's probably better than Rocky. This is fantastic, and it's got a lot of stuff. They're very, very similar movies, but I would say that this is probably a better version of Rocky. And no offense to Rocky, I like the first one. Actually, I like the second one better. I think
really?
Rocky 2 is
the
superior.
The first one is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I like Rocky 2. He's got the kids running behind him up the steps and shit. I really dig it.
Yeah.
But this movie, I love it. I would say it's probably a 9 out of 10. Maybe like an 8.75. The shit with his daughter just really throws me off. There's something about that sticks in me that I don't dig. If not for that, I would say it's probably just about perfect. But, I would say probably 8.5, 9 out of 10 or something. I really, really dig it. And I hope we see more stuff out of Mickey Rourke like that. I hope he kind of, it's been 12 years since this came out, which is nuts. I thought when we started doing this, it's like, Darren Aronofsky, what is this, like 2016? Zohab's like 2008. I was like, fuck! And I was like, fucking shit!
Crisis, dude.
It's just Tim Allen in the mirror and the Santa Claus, just like, he just turns like white bearded and long hair.
Dude, I'm looking at Mickey Rourke's career and just like seeing what's coming up. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies in pre-production right now. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
5 of those are pre-production. No, sorry, 3 of those are pre-production. 5 of those are in post-production, so they're done. Wild.
Wow. He's an eccentric guy. I'm sure he works his ass off. I'm sure he's like a workaholic or something. Do you want me to get us out of here? You good? You want to say anything else?
Get us out of here. Yeah, I'm fucking tired.
Guys, you want to check us out? You can find us on Instagram at Midnight Double Feature. You can find us on Twitter at WF Pod. There's also a Facebook group called Midnight Double Feature. We have a group attached to that called The After Party. Everybody's invited. Shoot us an email, midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. Stop by. Please check us out on Patreon if you want to support the page. That is patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. If you want to find the links to any of this stuff, the simplest straight-lined way to get there is just midnightdoublefeature.com. That'll get you to the podcast, our merch, our Patreon, anything else. Check out, again, Patrick Harrington, his podcast, Married People Watch Movies. And feel free to also check out our Breaking Bad podcast that we're cracking away under now. It's called Bad Crystal. That's where Zoheb has seen Breaking Bad as many times, almost as Patrick has seen The Wrestler. And I've never seen it before. So we break it down episode by episode and kind of pop my Breaking Bad cherry when it comes down to it. So feel free to check that out. Please, if you can't support the show monetarily, I understand a lot of crazy shit going on in the world right now. Stop by and rate us on iTunes. That's where we really, really could use the most. Give us that 5-star. Let us know how we're doing. If you got any constructive criticism, hey, that's the place to do it. Or shoot us an email, midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com. I am Colin. That has been Zoheb. We have been Midnight Double Feature, and we hope to see you guys on the next episode. Adios. Aging wrestler Randy the Ram Robinson is long past his prime, but still ready and raring to go onto the pro wrestling circuit. After a particularly brutal beating, however, fuck, I fucked that up. There's a comma in there, and I was just, however, particularly brutal breeding. However,
I thought you said braiding, brutal braiding.
Like, I might have.
What the fuck?
I started talking too quick. Okay. Aging wrestler Randy the Ram Robinson is long past his prime. The way the person worded this, like, wacky wailing inflatable arm belly 2-man. Like, I don't know why they did this to me. It's like, why? Why did you word it like this? Okay. Aging wrestler Randy the Ram Robinson is long past his prime, but still ready and raring to go on the pro wrestling circuit. After a particularly brutal beating, however, after a particular... I don't know why they worded it that way. Okay. Aging wrestler Randy the Ram Robinson is long past his prime, but still ready and raring to go on the pro wrestling circuit. However, after a particularly brutal beating, Randy hangs up his tights, pursues a serious relationship with a Long in the Tooth stripper, and tries to reconnect with his estranged daughter. But he can't resist the lure of the ring and he can't resist the lure of the ring and readies. And I'm like, why the ready and the way and I'm like, why do you do it like this? It's driving me nuts.
So good.
This person had to have done this on purpose.
Take your time. Calm down. Break out the Captain Morgan if you need to. Break out the Captain Morgan.